We put charge of turning it on. He forgot all about turning it on. Open this meeting of April 28th. Let the record show that Selectman Fogg and Selectman Dawson are not here, but they are on their way. They had an emergency with sewer. Right. They're the minutes. Make a motion to bring the minutes of April 21st to the floor for discussion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Kind of quiet in here, isn't it? Ms. Alden?
I think the last name of Swanscott is spelled in.
Okay. I'll check.
I think it's not without the second S.
Second
You can ask Joyce.
No, it's Swan Cott.
Okay, thank you.
He's very particular about it as well.
And it's Dari Sasan, not Sassoon.
Oh, you're right. Thank you.
I don't remember this conversation. I thought this was the whole, went on page 2,
Yeah.
at the bottom.
I was looking at that.
I believe the conversation was to be the entire edge of the road, the cleanup on his lawn. And then someone mentioned the pile.
No, my motion was a pile of sand down at the end, as opposed to all the way down to the driveway or whatever. That was my motion, because I remember. I was only suggesting that the mound of sand at the end of the road, we should, take that off, because that seemed excessive.
Then we should have the discussion prior to that in there, that the motion failed.
It does. It says that.
Where?
I was just reading it.
It just says the motion. It doesn't talk about the motion. The motion, you're,
The first paragraph, right up under his report. Motion 2 to 2.
Oh, I see.
Selectman Dawson made a motion to not clean the winter sand accumulation off 13 Andrews Road. For the purposes of discussion, Selectman Justman seconded the motion. There was no discussion, motion 2 to 2. So then, when
but there was a
Selectman
lengthy
Scanlon-
discussion. There's a huge discussion over it.
Not by the time we made the motion, I don't think. I think we had said what we had to say.
When I came in, I voted on it against
Lengthy
not to
dis-
clean the edge of the road.
That we made another motion.
No, it
But there was
said,
a motion before that.
there was a motion before that,
After-
before you came in.
It was the 2-2.
Right,
Yeah.
and it said there was no discussion. Well, there was a lengthy
It
discussion in
says that
that.
in the first sentence. There was a lengthy discussion on the amount of sand. The motion was made, there was no further
discussion
discussion.
after the motion.
Maybe you could put further discussion in there, but there was no discussion
misleading.
after the motion was seconded. We just voted on it. And it was 2-2. There was nothing left to say.
Now, we re-voted on that,
Yeah.
so I...
When down on the bottom of the page, Selectman Constantino updated Selectman Scanlon on it should be the earlier conversation of the board, noting that it's in that same night, we talked about the earlier conversation.
It is a different motion,
It is a different motion, that's what I'm saying.
and so
But
it's
it's-
listed differently.
But if you just say on the conversation, you're assuming that it's the conversation
Oh.
in that paragraph.
Yeah.
Right. So if you say on the earlier conversation,
In regard
you're
to
looking at
13
the
Andrews Road,
conversation up
sure.
here.
That's cleaner.
So
Go
I'm
ahead.
still confused the way that motion turned out. To clean along the road was no, but to clean the pile up was yes.
When they redid the motion, when you came in, was only to clean the pile at the end, not to clean up 13 Andrews Road, all of the spill from the wing, the 6 inches of dirt that went down.
The first one was to clean the whole property on that side of the road.
And what was the result of that motion?
2-2. 2 yeses, 2 nos. Then you came in, I made a different motion concerning the very same piece of property. I worded it differently. It was just, I confined it to one particular spot without setting a precedent that we would maybe have to do it for anybody in the town. This one particular time we would do it, and it was voted down 3-2.
No, carried 3-2.
Carried 3-2.
I thought it was voted down.
No, not according to
To
this.
clean the pile at the edge of the road, but not the 13 Andrews Road property.
Right.
Motion carried 3-2, Selectmen Dawson and Scanlon opposed.
So 2 opposed, Dawson and Scanlon.
Yeah, 3-2.
There were, I really do, can we, for the sake of an argument here, can we go back and listen to the tape? There was a discussion in between there, in between Joe's motion, and we brought up the discussion about cleaning up the side of the road again in that conversation. And then towards the end of the conversation, Joe brought up the motion just to do the pile. But somewhere, I believe, earlier than that motion,
During the updated Selectmen Scanlon on the earlier
when-
motion.
I
And we talked about that.
and I
in the
believe
update.
I
Joe,
recall asking
voting
me
on
how,
it.
and I voted on it, because I
And it
distinctly
failed.
remember saying, okay, so
Right.
now I'm stuck being the
And
guy
it-
to...
right, and it failed, and that's, I think there's another motion in there that we're missing.
Because when I came in, be right at that time...
And then
that-
Joe made one just to pick up the pile,
Right.
and
Well,
that
I
passed.
voted for it.
And that passed.
Yeah,
And that
The pile.
passed.
And that's what this motion.
Right, but there's another one in there that when John came in, at first it was a 2-2, there was a lengthy discussion, and then when John came in, we filled him in on the earlier conversation, we had a lengthy discussion, there was a motion made, and I believe there was a motion made, and John was included in on the vote. Then when,
And that
when,
was 3-2 not to clean it.
and it was 3-2 not to clean it,
And then I made the one with just
And then
cleaning the sand.
Joe made the one to clean the sand.
That's the way I...
Can we just take another look at that? Okay.
We talked about it anyway. It might not have been official. Maybe. I don't know.
Right. That's what I'm asking. I'm not real sure about it.
Took a long time to walk around that one, didn't it?
You're welcome.
Any more corrections, or?
No, that was,
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of Thursday, April 21st, as corrected.
second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
And if indeed it was another motion officially, you could slide that in there. You're gonna put out the Cedar Street bumps?
We can't until we get back.
Sorry, I couldn't see what you were saying.
I just wanted to know if had plans to put them out.
We have, not the Cedar Street is the ones that are under question from the residents, remember? We haven't approved that one yet. I mean Daniels Drive and,
Yeah, Academy Street and the one up at the top.
Daniels Drive. Are the speed bumps out?
They're not out yet, we put them out right after the sweeping.
Makes sense.
Still could snow.
Good plan, John.
Isn't that crazy? You put them out there, you're gonna make it snow.
Joyce? They don't really feel comfortable going ahead with the parking because they're,
Want me to just do some information?
well, they are very adamant about being a part of the process. I just don't feel it's right to go ahead with them and... Are you guys okay waiting a few minutes for them to... Nate, are you okay waiting a few minutes to see if they come back, or if they don't, we'll reschedule? I just don't feel comfortable moving forward without them because they're a pertinent, integral part of what
You're
is
40%
going
of the
on.
board, you know. So we in recess?
No, Joyce is coming up.
Oh, good.
My horoscope said things weren't going to work out the way they should be today.
This is a draft of quick little mailer I can do to, using our Avatar software to all the property owners. Pat was good enough today to go on foot and notify as many people as possible. But I can cut and paste this into our Avatar software, and it will print out these self-mailers. And it's just, we have a folding machine.
Did you actually get to hand them one of these?
No, I spoke to everyone.
Yep.
I did not get Billy or the health store or the tattoo place because they were closed.
Billy was already.
And Andrea, I did get a voicemail message from Andrea, and I just haven't had a chance to call her back.
Oh, would that be the Cumbie
Yeah,
person?
Cumbies.
Oh, great.
But the Bill Rollins from DOT said he did speak to someone from Cumberland Farms. He didn't say who, though. Remember yesterday?
I thought he said he would speak to somebody.
Either way, they're covered.
All right, so is this, is this too confusing? These are just the highlights.
No, I think this is, we're all talking about this, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it.
All right, so I can get this out tomorrow with our mailer.
I went to the store yesterday and spoke with Walter App and let him know about the staging area, so he's told the employees not to park in the old park, the municipal parking lot A. Very appreciative that I let him know.
And I never heard back from Bill Rollins yet with the number of the, he was going to give me the cell phone number of the actual project manager, but I can't wait any longer, because she's
I told him if they had any issues with it at all, to call you.
yeah,
Gave him your extension number.
Good.
Because you would be given the cell phone number of the project manager.
Yep.
That's what I told people.
we'll take care of them. I don't know if any of you received this email that I sent earlier. It was from John Bossy at New Hampshire Veterans Home. Recall getting that one?
I didn't know.
That their Veterans Home is going ahead. They're meeting with Liberty Utilities to put in gas.
Oh, yeah.
And when I sent you the email, I said, oh, well, we have the commissioner here. Let's put a bug in her ear and bring her up to speed on Winter Street. But of course, there was just too much going on. So I think that we should send a letter to the commissioner and bring her up to speed on when we could come in to talk with DOT about the state roads. And this would be a wonderful opportunity for the state of New Hampshire DOT to look at making improvements to Winter Street for our veterans. So are you on board with that?
It seemed like they were talking about the sewer and the water having work to do on Winter Street as well. Is that not true?
And he had copied the, I can't remember if I had copied the sewer and water, he copied the sewer and water, but sewer and water were on it.
We heard back from sewer and water.
I heard back from water, they're very interested, but I didn't hear back from sewer.
Well, sewer will be here.
Perfect time to redo it.
All right, so okay to send letter?
I mean, somebody's digging a trench, we share the,
Do you know where the lines run?
Copied the
me
veterans home.
personally, no. They have a map for water, for sure.
It would be nice if they ran
Water and.
under the sidewalk.
I don't ever
Then it would
remember
get
seeing
done.
that
Have them,
email.
That's a great idea, Jeff.
or encourage them to run it under the sidewalk so that
I
the
don't
road
think,
won't
I
be
don't
dug
think
up
you
in the
could
future.
do sewer. I think
Would've
the
been,
sewer mains are too big, maybe.
Probably Wednesday.
But
I got
water and
But-
gas, I think.
You know, on Main Street, the gas line runs in my yard, not
Yeah.
under the street.
Yeah.
So they can access it
Yeah.
easy and repair it. It might be a nice idea if they could run the
Is
gas
the
line.
main line not in the street?
No.
Really? No.
It'd be a
Okay.
nice idea if they could run that gas line up where the sidewalk is,
That
which would
copy,
prevent
It just says FYI in
future
the subject
possible
matter.
digging to dig up the road if there was
Like
anything,
CC,
and then they
sewer
could
and water.
replace our sidewalk while they're at it.
Yep.
This was Dari, because we have these wonderful all free mapping capabilities.
Nothing's free, Joyce.
It is free from the state, he got it free,
Okay.
and he knows how to use it, so I asked, and he just got these right out before I came upstairs, so I know, I find if we're talking about places in town, it helps me if I can visually see what we're talking about, so when we get to that part of the discussion, those are for your use. Okay, our flagpoles and flags arrived today, and I had made prior arrangements with the highway department to have someone from the highway department up here to, when the guy was explaining how to put them together and how they're supposed to work, but that didn't work out, and today, I should have known better that Thursdays is just a crazy day, because that's Selectmen's Day. So I asked Johnny if next week when Arthur gets back, if he can just send Arthur over, because Arthur usually does this, and between him and I, we can get the flags up.
Okay. And
Did you get yours
while we're
yet?
on- Yes, the solar thing came in, the poles up there, gonna finish it up this weekend, and then probably next Monday, I'll pick it up,
What's that?
the flagpole, and then I think Arthur knows where the hole is down there.
We'll have to see if it's raining or not, because we're going to start our sweeping on Monday. If it's a rain day, we'll come up and get it. But if it's good weather day, we'll be right into sweeping.
Okay,
But, yeah, either Monday or Tuesday.
anytime, yeah.
When do you think they'll be sweeping down towards Andrews Road, that part of town?
Yeah, Monday.
Monday?
Typically, I guess we get it done in a day. This will be
For
my
some
first-
reason, I had the 6th in my head.
Well, it's the 9th for Rabbit. Isn't it the 9th for Rabbit?
Nice.
Okay, so
Oh, I mean, that's this Monday, never mind, sorry. Yeah, we can probably get it on Monday.
I'll verify it that it's ready.
Yeah,
Okay, but
Sorry.
Andrews Road sweeping is
it's the 9th.
the 9th, okay, not the 6th, the 9th. Okay. The day before yesterday, or maybe it was the day before that, the property owner on Andrews Road came into the town hall, and Gail and I both spoke with him, and I told him the letter, I was in the process of sending a letter and informed him of the selectmen's decision, and both Gail and I went back and listened to the tape, because it was kind of convoluted, but they were very understanding, and I told them that the, if they could get into the roadway.
Oh, they did.
Pardon me? Oh, they did?
Oh,
Okay,
it's in the
that
road.
when the town comes, they'll
Sweep
pick that
it
up.
up.
And they were fine.
Excuse me.
You want me to come back?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
We didn't put you on any committees.
That's probably a good thing.
We couldn't find any more room.
We spent a couple $100,000. We didn't put you on any,
guys.
It's only money.
That's on
we
you
didn't put
guys.
you on any committees or anything like that, so. But we did
I'm
wait.
pretty sure we did.
We waited for talking to the, about the parking,
Well, thank you.
till you folks are here. So, come on up. Okay, Captain, Chief.
It's easier to hear you. If you're close to the microphone, it's easier to hear. You too, Captain.
All right, so we invited all of you here tonight because we've had several discussions on parking issues. It's convoluted in the village to some degree. Last year, we had a public hearing. We haven't got back to the people on the public hearing yet. We had a request for Cedar Street speed bumps. We haven't been able to come to a solution on that as well. So we owe them an answer, as well as a couple of solutions on Chestnut and a whole plethora of problems. So we've asked you to come in and help us out with some of what's going on. Where do you want to start?
Well, I can talk about, some of the stuff that we're doing. Nate briefed me today that he's working with Johnny to take a look at all the signs to see, where are we missing signs, where could signage be better, clearer, the right height, all of that thing. And I don't know if Nate or Johnny, you want to talk about that, and then I have some other stuff, but just to explain what you two are working on.
Well, we went out yesterday, and we toured what I call the Mill Center Village District, which encompasses from, we went up Peabody Street, then up Cedar, around Spruce, High Street, Cedar down the Pine, essentially the entire, inner compact area. we were looking at things such as speed limit signs. We were deficient in those. A lot of the street signs that were posted on the utility poles, since Fairpoint took over from Verizon, they've been going around replacing poles. A lot of the poles that had the street signs, they've replaced. Signs never got put back up, don't know where they are. So we have a lot of streets that aren't even identified now, which obviously is a concern for emergency responders, especially where we have mutual aid compact with other jurisdictions. Officers aren't always familiar with the roadways. We also looked at things such as, the issue with the parking on Chestnut Street, where we do have the winter parking ban signs, but there are no signs designating that the even-numbered side of the street per the ordinance does not allow parking. And so that is something that I figure we should address. There has been families that have moved in and out of the area. People aren't familiar with the ordinance. And so by default, because they don't know, people have started parking on that side. When I find it, I get the cars removed, but it's not always, I'm in the area and I can't always address it. I have asked the officers to take a proactive approach at that. If they do find cars parked that way, to locate owners, get the cars removed, and educate the people about the town ordinance.
Does that ordinance just affect Chestnut?
That ordinance for the even number side parking is just for Chestnut Street. It was drafted. I do have a copy of the ordinances here.
Is that in the traffic 200?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Section 5, Article 2. Actually, that was the correct one. I do have it here. I looked at it earlier.
Even, is that the east side or the west side?
It's actually, if you head northbound on Chestnut Street, it would be everything to the left, where the walkway isn't on the roadway.
So they can't park
On the even-numbered side of the
on the
street.
left side,
Yes.
but they can park where the sidewalk is? You mean like that, where they're straddling the sidewalk?
Well, it's not really a sidewalk, it's a walkway.
Well, it's still a pedestrian.
It's marked out,
Path.
wouldn't that make it a sidewalk?
It's a sidewalk. It may not be raised, but it's a sidewalk.
Let's have one conversation at a time. All right.
But yeah, that ordinance has actually been in effect since 1939.
Yeah,
Because I
that's the-
researched it. And it is what it is. This is an old mill village, and so these roads were designed at the time when the mill was building houses for their employees. So they were built with horse and buggy in mind. That's why the streets are so narrow. And so, obviously, many generations ago, the presiding body did see that there was an issue that was going to come up with automobiles, and it looks like they addressed it. And I think it was pretty well addressed. It just comes down to education of the public. People who live on the street are directly affected, and if it's effectively relayed to them the reasons why, I think it's going to be pretty easy for them to understand. If you look at the residences over on the street, if you notice everything on the right side of the road, if you head northbound, it's on the back side of the properties is bordered by the brook. So they don't have a whole lot of offset, and the houses were built fairly close together. And a few of those residences I have looked at, you wouldn't be able to fit a car in between for a driveway. And so I think this was the reason why they came up with a parking scenario for Chestnut Street. So I think with proper signage, and education of the residents on the street, we can alleviate a lot of the problems that we're seeing right now. As far as the walkway is concerned, back when it was voted on to paint the lines back in 2002, I did come down and I did express that people aren't going to understand what those lines are for unless something is put in them, no parking or walkway only or something like that, which never was addressed. And so people are ignorant of it, and I see people trying to either park fully on one side, some are straddling, and some are fully, like on Prospect Street. If you look on Prospect Street, they're trying to park their entire car on the right side of the line, and so kind of defeats that purpose. So I think if we spend a little bit of time on some public education and some marking of what the intended purpose is of those lined areas, people are going to understand a little better, and it should help alleviate some of the problems that we're seeing.
He's offered to, take this on and work with Johnny, and, they can keep the board updated how it's going, and, I checked, we've had 19 parking complaints since the beginning of the year, and they're spread out throughout the town. Actually, probably equally spread out throughout the town, some on the Silver Lake side, some downtown, some in the outlets. I was surprised that very few of them were like Chestnut Street and Prospect Street, but then I looked at the parking enforcement, and there's 50 entries there, and it looks like, looking and reading the entries, they're citing, they're also trying to educate, and that's written in the logs there. So Nate's been working with the patrol people to go over there and really start educating the folks over there, and I don't think any ordinance will ever get us 100% compliance all the time, just like no speed limit will ever give us 100% compliance all the time, but if we do get a complaint, we'll address it, and in the meantime, education, signage will go a long way here.
Yeah, I was going to type up a flyer that's going to contain the verbiage of the ordinance for Chestnut Street parking, and I was going to hand deliver it to all the residences, leave it in their mailboxes, and that way at least there's going to be something for them to reference. I'm not going to put the entire ordinance in, but I am going to, reference the verbiage and where they can find it if they need to. So.
But if that ordinance indicates that they need to park on the side where the sidewalk is, then we need to change it, because they can't park in the sidewalk.
Well, there's an ordinance also, too, that addresses that issue, and it states that vehicles can park with their right tires into the designated walkway area within a reasonable distance to allow for foot traffic to get by. Now, obviously, when you allow people to use their common sense,
That doesn't work.
it's tough to do. And again, it comes back to, if I know there's a problem, if somebody calls here and they're saying, well, we can't do this, or, we can't get by over here, if I don't know what's happening, I can't dispatch one of the troops out to investigate to solve the problem. So, obviously, we need to know when these issues are coming up, because it's very simple. If I know there's a problem, either I or another officer can go investigate, and we can take care of it.
If we're going to use that ordinance, we need to change it so they're parking on the opposite side.
Well,
Because you can see by this picture,
if you,
they're not parking. They're halfway in,
Prior to 2002, that was never there.
but it's there now. And
It's there
this
now, but-
picture was taken just a few months
But it's
ago.
not designated. People don't know what it's for. They
Well-
think it's a fog line, is what they think it
are we
is.
only talking about Chestnut Street? Because if we're not only talking about Chestnut Street, that won't work if you put it on the opposite side, for instance, on High Street. If you have it on the opposite side of the painted pathway, then you'll be parking in
In a travel lane.
a travel lane, and that's where you'll be parking.
You're parking in a
If
travel
any-
lane on Chestnut.
Anywhere down there, you're blocking a lane, which
That's
is
right.
in
That was my
conflict
next-
with our requiring a uniformed officer if you block a road.
That was
But our
my next
ordinance
sentence.
states that they can have their tires within
What?
the painted pathway, as long as they're not blocking the
Until we change it.
walkway.
But why can a resident block a traveled way where a contractor has to have a uniformed officer? Why isn't it equally enforced?
I think we're getting away from what the problem is on Chestnut Street.
I don't
All
think so.
viable conversations, but that doesn't address what's going on
There shouldn't be
Chestnut.
parking on it unless you go to one-way roads, so you can have your
We're not
travel
just
lane.
talking
Okay, I hear
about-
what you're saying.
We're not just talking about Chestnut Street,
No.
that's why I asked the question.
Anything in that area.
The problem on Chestnut is the same problem on all the streets. There isn't enough room for them to park in the street and
Correct.
have 2 lanes of traffic. It just isn't.
But those have never been two lanes for traffic anyway. It's always been, and I've lived here for a long time.
Two cars can pass
They-
on 90% of our roads.
Usually, one car will yield to a car coming down the hill. That's how it works. It's always how it's always worked.
On what street?
On all of them?
All the streets.
They're
Oh,
not-
no. I've driven these streets. I just drove up Daniels. Two-way traffic. I came around the corner, another car passed me. But there weren't any cars blocking the
Parking.
lane. If there are no cars blocking the traveled way, it's two-way traffic. It fits. The problem is when you put
I don't agree.
parking.
I
I
don't
just
agree.
passed a car.
I can take a dual-wheel dump truck up through there, and you will not be able to get another car.
Well, I think that's a little bit of an exception, probably so. You might have to pull over.
It's not two-way. The road is not wide enough per RSA by DOT standards
Well-
for two-way traffic.
Two cars, automobiles, forget about commercial vehicles, can pass each other.
If it's
That's the
open to-
majority
Catherine, if it's
of the
open to
traffic.
public, it means that it has to accept, if you're going to say it's two-way, it has to accept all types of vehicles, correct?
Right.
A certain width.
I think 90% of the communities like Tilton in this state have the same problem. But if you have two passenger cars, which is the majority of the traffic in that village area, they can pass each other. If you add a car in either traveled way, now you have a huge problem. If, like in this picture, you have 5 cars blocking the traveled way, you have even more of a problem, because now you're in that opposite lane for a great length of time, and there's 2 roads that intersect into where there's cars are. That day, the reason I took the picture is because a car came out of High Street, turned down Chestnut, and almost got in a front-to-front collision with another car because they had to pull into the opposite lane.
But if they continue the education, and we do something a little bit more with the signage, and educate exactly what those paths are for, people will realize to make sure that the walking path is open for pedestrians.
Every one of these cars could have been parked in a driveway. Every single one of them. I looked, and I took pictures of the empty driveways. Every single one of them. And there were cars...
Do you know if those were residences that they'd be parking in? Do you know who all the residences are?
They're definitely visiting residents there. And I watched people come and
I can tell
go.
you right there, that photo on the bottom, those people all live in that corner house right there. There's no driveway.
The brown house?
Yes.
That blue
Right on
car,
the corner of West Street.
this blue car
Yep.
was visiting somebody down here, because I watched them walk up to the car and leave.
But
There were cars behind it.
if you look at that house, there is no driveway there.
For this one,
Yes, there's no driveway.
for this one house, that's correct.
That's correct. So
But for
where
the
are they-
majority of the rest of the houses on the street where there were other cars parked, they could be in the driveways.
That's my question.
Listen, we asked the officers to come in here and give us input for a
but it's
resolution.
incorrect.
A resolution's not going to happen if we argue.
We're not arguing, I'm differing what he has to say, I don't
Okay.
agree.
Okay.
I stood
That's
here and
a
watched.
perfect
It's
explanation
incorrect.
of argument.
Okay,
If
so,
we're going to have
then
two-way
what?
traffic, are we going to put a center median line up the street?
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
If it's two-way traffic, you're going to have a median line,
Why?
because that designates two-way traffic, one northbound.
How do you put a
one south.
median line on a dirt road, which is two-way traffic?
Well,
What's
it's the
that road?
same thing.
What dirt
Put a
road?
median line on a dirt road. Noise road is a two-way.
Okay?
You got plenty,
There's different rules for dirt roads as there are for paved portions.
two-lane dirt road, right?
Median line is not the answer.
Well, you're telling me it's two-lane. I'm telling you that road has never been an absolute two-lane roadway.
You don't have 2 12-foot lanes. Yeah,
It's
You may not have two standard 12-foot lanes, but cars pass on either
12
side
foot's
traveling
more
on
highway.
village roads.
So what are the issues in the village parking, other than parking within the pathway? What are the other issues?
If you have 2 tens.
I'm asking a question. I really want the answer.
Yes, can us?
I'm asking anyone that wants to answer that. What are the other issues other than parking? We're not going to get anywhere tonight on parking within a pathway. It just seems like we're never going to resolve this issue.
Well, Nate and I were working on basically overall signage in the village area. So it is lacking in signs. Some of the speed limit signs, we looked at speed limit signs that basically needed to be moved in order to be more visible as you turn onto roads. And,
They also have to be posted facing two directions, not just one.
yeah, so
So in
that
order
way
to
you're...
enforce the speed limit, by state RSA, there has to be one facing oncoming traffic and for the opposite direction, so. And they have to be conspicuous enough so that way the traffic, the operator's going to be able to see them.
So how do you enforce it on Cedar Street then?
We can't write tickets technically with it. We can write the town tickets, but as far as a state summons, we can't. It's unenforceable.
Because the minimum speed is 25. According to federal DOT, I think the minimum speed is 25, but because
We
they're-
set the speed limits in
We
the
can
village.
we can put it in 10 if we want.
Right.
Those are our roads.
Minimum is for state.
We already set it a couple years ago, didn't we? In the village?
We changed some of them.
Right.
One I can think of right out, the one you live on, I think. We changed the speed limit on that, I
Liberty?
believe.
No, it's always been 15.
We changed a number of
changed
them,
one-
but
at
I
least
think it was
one,
in
and
the
I thought it
Cedar
was that
area.
Cedar Street, High Street,
Prospect.
Prospect
Prospect
Street,
Street,
Chestnut Street were all
Academy.
posted 20.
Right, 20.
I
They
believe
originally
so.
were posted 15.
So they're 20.
But I think what Officer Morrison was saying was that
Same roads.
you can't go to the state
No.
and go to summons and do it.
This is what you were talking about.
If somebody
But when
decided-
we did that, when we changed the signs, we also told the highway department to make sure that there were, when we changed the speed limit, we also told the highway department to change the signage. Are they not out there as,
Some.
They're only facing one direction.
Right where they were to begin with.
Actually, there were never any signs out there until that point.
Well, there you go.
So
Even worse.
when they posted them, they only posted them in one direction. And
so in order to enforce the speeding to a state level, we must have signs out there. How many signs are missing that we need in the village?
on most of those inner compact streets, we're only going to need two. One facing one direction, one facing the other direction. You don't need more than that, so long as they're
On either end.
on either end, within an area where people are going to be able to see them. Like on the end of Cedar Street, it's a little too close to the transition from Winter Street. When people are pulling, they're actually looking for cars coming out to the stop sign, so they don't naturally see it. So I spoke with Johnny, and we're going to try to get that moved up just beyond the little garage where there's a bush. And that way, when people actually make that transition and they straighten their car out, they're going to see the speed limit sign. And then we just need another one posted going
So
south.
total, how many signs do we need for a speed limit?
I actually haven't counted it up, did you?
14. When I say 14, that would actually give us a couple extras for if any were stolen or
Damaged or...
damaged or anything else.
What is the speed limit?
So that would,
20.
that would total $420 just for the speed limit signs.
That's posts and everything.
No, that's just for the signs. For a total price of everything that we looked at, because there's a whole bunch of different things. There were a lot of street names missing, as Nate mentioned earlier, and, you know, with all that stuff comes the post and the hardware and nuts and bolts. I totaled them up, and this is just a rough estimate, because I just went with one vendor. My total came out to just over $3,000 to get what we looked at in compliant.
And by 2018, we have to be compliant with the street signs anyway, they all have to be changed.
They all have to be changed
So
to...
we're looking at that kind of, a lot more money than that on street signs in the next 3 years.
Because US DOT and MUTCD by 2018, all street name signs, letterings have to be 6-inch. A lot of towns have already started that process, And all the signs that I would buy for street names would be 6 inch.
That would not need to be replaced when the other signs are replaced, right?
They would not need to be
Okay.
replaced again,
No,
because
so,
I wouldn't buy them now just to replace them in 2 years.
would that cut into that $3,000 figure that you were bandying about earlier? If you don't have to replace a whole bunch of those signs already, or with the signs that you've already bought, it's gonna cost an additional $3,000?
This would not cut into the future price when I come back in
Okay.
my budget, no.
Okay.
These will be compliant.
But this will get us so that the roads are actually named again. So,
Because like,
And we can do the speed ticket, we can ticket them on a state level.
yes. Or
Summons them.
if they request their day in court, which we have to provide them, if we write them a town summons, that would ensure that we would actually be able to take it before the circuit court and prove a case.
Maybe, yeah, Russ would lose without the signage, so.
Makes sense.
and we'll be posting stop signs where they're supposed to be as well. That I would have to purchase 6 stop signs, and again, that would give me an extra. Those are about just under $45 a piece.
Are these retro-reflective signs?
Retro-reflective signs. All regulatory signs and guide signs have to be retro-reflective.
So minimum of what we need, with the exception of ordering one extra so you have it, like a stop sign or whatever, speed sign. That's, the $3,000 is just for the village district
Yeah.
area?
Yeah.
Gotta start somewhere.
We are, at a later date, going to go out, hit the east side of town and try to finish up a list of what we need.
How much do you have in your budget this year for for signs?
I don't do, but, you know, it's on the-
Okay.
And I might, this was, again, this was a rough estimate. What I would do before would be, I would check 3 vendors, ask them all the same prices, and I also may look into our stock at the shop for U-channel posts and so on and so forth.
I don't see anything specifically for signs. What would it be under?
I have to look at the budget.
You've got maintenance and repair, equipment supplies,
It doesn't say
I don't remember a
signs.
line that said signs.
miscellaneous. It's not in there. That's
It
definitely,
would be under road material. I know I bumped that one up.
Yeah, it doesn't, I think it's specifically.
I thought I was in one.
The other side, the other side.
Safety equipment, no.
I think that one's
That's-
more for
signs for men working signs. Well,
I don't remember one.
it's all the selectmen's budget anyway.
No, but if you commit to something like that, you really need to
We do
know
have
where
a
we
road
can get it
material
at least from. I mean, we've got to
It's
take
gonna have
it
to be
someplace.
done. It'll have to come out of our budget, whether it's highway or
Well, we
police.
have to find the money somewhere. If we've got a line, yay, but
You probably took it out of road material.
But just,
We
I
bumped
think
up,
that's where he took it.
what is some road material specifically? It's not asphalt,
it can be asphalt.
can
it
be asphalt, patch.
Gravel, it can be.
it'll have to come out of the budget somewhere.
So we had bumped that one up to 10,000 this year.
So you're gonna fine tune your list, is that right?
You're going
you
to go
said?
to other vendors and try to get it.
Oh, yeah, definitely, especially with
Yeah,
prices like
gotta
that.
Are you
put
gonna
in an
call the
RFP
state
over 500
prison?
bucks.
Econo signs, I would go to at least 3. But like I say, I'll investigate what we have in stock too,
Yeah,
Use what
before
we
you
have
place the
first.
order.
Do what
Good
we have
plan.
in stock, is that retro-reflective? Because retro-reflective is relatively new.
anything that I would use for regulatory or
But what
mandatory.
we have in stock may not be.
Right, no, I can check that.
Probably
I'll check
isn't.
that. But like, we might have some of the U-channel posts that might be sufficient. And when we replace these signs too, we'll build them with breakaways, which is becoming, it's a mandatory thing now too. So,
A
yeah.
lot of them are too short, you were telling me, too. They don't meet certain
The height?
compliance. Yeah, for the height.
Yeah, the breakaways,
Yeah.
they're only supposed to be about 4 inches out of the ground, 4 to 6 at the most. So because the smaller compact cars now, and they have to be a little bit stronger. And I like to use the 3-pound post versus the 2-pound. That's per foot.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you put one of those big signs, a stop sign, and only bury it 6 inches into the ground, wouldn't a wind blow it over?
6 inches above the ground is a breakaway. So you put.
Oh, all right. I thought you were suggesting you only put the posts in the ground 6 inches.
No, you put
Job
the post-
security.
No.
Are we in agreement that we get the
Yeah,
estimates and that
yeah.
we need to spend the money
Yeah.
Oh,
to get this done?
I get this.
I believe we are all in agreement on that. So next week, we expect to have the prices for 3 different outfits, at least.
All right.
See if we can get on the signage for the village district. That's stop signs, that's speed signs, that's street signs, that's everything that you have there.
Okay.
That takes care of one of the issues that we're having, so that you can at least enforce what's going on, that you see, visibly see, and do.
It's actually really straightforward, because it's not just enforceability, it's for the emergency access for the police and the fire. In case somebody from out of town comes to help them, it'll better guide them to where they need to be if they get off on the wrong street. It's great. I appreciate you guys doing this.
All right, so
They want to turn everything.
some of the other issues that we had, one of them was, and we did not get back to the residents, was we have a letter from, I don't have the letter in front of us, but several residents on Cedar, Spruce, and High Street requesting 2 Cedar Street speed bumps. And we had a public hearing, remember? And that's what they had asked for. So where are we with that? Did we talk about that to figure out where?
I mean, in the interim, I know Nate will tell you that officers have been going down there between that 2 to 4 time period, and
We've done a pretty
been-
big saturation patrol down there. We have the new LiDAR, too, which is making a big impact. I've been getting a lot of feedback from the public about it. You see us out there hiding behind the spruce tree on Spruce Street.
I saw it.
And this thing is amazing. I mean, you point at what you want, and you've got it. And it's locked right on. I mean, it's really making a big impact. And the residents have also approached me, and they've also told me that they've noticed a big improvement in things.
Yeah, I've noticed a big improvement, too.
And the
Yeah.
speeds, the average speeds that we're getting now are about 23 to 25, as before they were between 32 to 36 miles an hour. So the speed has dropped considerably
Very nice.
during the afternoon hours. And so, again, you know, if troops know, and I'm right on their case, you know, I'm telling them to get out there when they need to be out there, and it's really, it does make a difference, you know.
Well, so would you advise that we hold off on that and continue the patrol and hold off on the speed bumps for a while? Perhaps maybe we can just send the residents out a letter saying that we've upped the patrols, the mileage has come down considerably, and we just want to wait a little bit till the speed bumps go in. I know that it's done a huge, I get thanked every time I see someone up on Daniel Drive. And I
on the
never knew
speed
that there was that much of a problem, but when the speed bumps go in, they're extremely thankful.
I know,
They
like,
are effective. They really are.
I have been on Academy Street.
remember you and I were on the porch with that woman, and after we put the speed bump on Academy, I never got another call. She ended up moving to Northfield. I bumped into her sometime, and she goes, "I'm so happy you put the speed bump on Academy, but I'm sad I moved."
Yes, in fact, I just saw her, ran into her over the weekend.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
So, I mean,
She had all those kids.
that made a huge, because, well, you know what people were doing. They were coming behind the chance.
Zooming behind behind there.
Right.
Once you only do that over that speed bump once. and
Right.
then-
You can't really put a cruiser in there because you're blocking 4 different driveways. That was the
Yeah, I
problem.
tried, it was hard.
Well, it's such a short little distance that you're already spotted.
But I mean, I think
Is that speed
was-
bump out? Yeah?
They haven't come down yet until
After
we
sweeping.
sweep the street.
Oh, that's right, sweeping.
It'll probably be soon though, right? May 9.
So do we want to hold off on perhaps the speed bumps on Cedar Street, and then just send a letter out to the residents in the area, the ones that were here and in the area, and let them know that we haven't forgotten it, but we've saturated the area with police and tickets and
Premium.
patrols, and mileage has gone,
We
speed
never-
has gone down, or?
And we're also going to be spending significant money to properly sign, to warn people.
To do signage.
We never voted for speed bumps.
No, we haven't.
We only talked about it, right?
We haven't answered, my concern is we haven't answered the residents
That we're-
with their
We didn't
request.
just
We-
brush them off.
We just sort of, it's been over a year, and we haven't done anything, and it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do? And we spent that year having officers out there, and, I've seen them out there. Way too much for my pleasure, but it's still, I've seen them out there.
Have you found other areas
No.
in town that have a similar problem with speed besides Cedar?
Well, besides the exit 20 area, I mean, it's always a balancing act, I put all of our eggs over here, and then we're getting complaints over here. I mean, it's...
Silver Lake.
I've seen you on Silver
We
Lake.
could have 50 guys and
Slow down, Joe.
directing them here and there, you're still going to have issues. And you just can't totally stop it. But
Right.
if you have a problem area, and especially, this is the easiest thing with this, is we know pretty much when the problem time is. It's right after school. And so I have a directive, we have a whiteboard in the squad room, I've been writing, I want the guys out there at, we do the morning patrol too, which is also effectively slowed the cars down in front of the school.
I never see that one.
Must be the teachers, right?
A lot of them are
Try and get
teachers. I've directed the guys for the morning, I tell them I want them out there by no later than 7:20, and we go until about 10 of 8, and I'm out there too, and I also come over here and I do a school zone patrol on the prep school hill and around there too, and in the afternoons, I tell the guys, I want you out there, no later than 2:30, I'd prefer them out there by about quarter after, for the, there's a lot of foot traffic, the kids that are walking and stuff, but sometimes, we're getting the reckless ops coming down Route 3 and stuff like that, so it's kind of, you're trying to find when you can allot it, but we're getting over there, and we are making an impact, so it's just this balancing act.
The one other area that I saw that is going down Prospect Street, even myself, I have to really pay attention for this.
You're going,
Because you're going down, if you don't pay attention, all of a sudden, you're just traveling, and it's hard. And if you're,
Gravity is an
younger.
undeniable force.
Especially on that gas foot for some people.
Need a Jake break.
and then you get that stop sign at Academy.
Go down the second and first
Right.
gear.
Yeah, I mean, you got time to brake for the
Now
stop
we just
sign
have
down
M.
the bottom of the hill, but
Just
once you
M.
get there, you'd be surprised how fast you're going.
More than 20.
There is kind of an effective speed hole there, that little dip right near, I think it's 24. People hit that more than 20 miles an hour, that usually wakes them up.
Okay, so,
Ben, could we send a letter reminding them to, like, the high school and to the veterans home, just about that area, a little map, and they can...
Cheryl Sommer sent me an email last week, and then we ended up talking. On their end, they're trying to do something to message students and staff, she said, so I don't know what they've done, if they've done anything yet, but we just spoke last week, so maybe because we're on vacation this week. And then she asked me about, the backup on Main Street, and I told her how I met with DOT, and we made some changes to the traffic signal. She asked about that too, and then we talked about that Cedar Street loop, and So they're going to try and partner with us. I mean, I'll bring it up at the next meeting with them, but
Yeah, if they let everybody know that it's, and we have the signs out there, so it's posted well, they know, they see the radar gun, or the light thing, and they get a letter from their employer, don't do it. It's going to make it really aware that
I think the lights have helped some out here in the afternoon traffic. I mean, it's not perfect, but
I mean, we added 10 seconds to the green, so.
it's a lot,
it seems to me like
That's a
it's not
lot.
quite so.
especially when you're moving.
You don't think-
10 seconds.
It's helping, it's still not,
Okay, good.
where it should be.
Right.
Okay, so
Now I wait more at,
if we have the signage, and we have the signage, and we have the enforceability, that will curtail a lot of what's going on. So now we get back to the one and only painted sidewalks, because we have them on Chestnut, High, Cedar, Prospect. Do we have High Street where Billy is? No, there's not a painted one there.
And it stops at the intersection on Chestnut. North of there's nothing.
Right.
And High Street too, because the yellow house down is nothing.
I sent you some street views.
And there's nothing. But Cedar and Prospect are much, much wider streets than Chestnut.
Right.
I mean, in High. High Street is very tiny. You cannot maneuver from Chestnut and take a right onto High Street if there were parking on the side of the road. You just can't maneuver. If that house, very seldom is that house have, company that sits on the side of the road. But when you get down further, there's cars on the side of the road. You can maneuver around it, no problem. But Chestnut Street seems to be just about the worst, because I think it's, the width of the road is smaller, and that's the real problem. So we have to come up with some type of solution to the issue, whether it's education, whether it's door-to-door. I don't know what the solution is. I don't have an answer to that. But, our ordinance is one right now that you can't enforce to say, stay off the painted sidewalk. Your tire has to be on that, because it says just the opposite in our ordinance. So we have to think about what to do that.
Well, I had an idea, and I'm just going to throw it out there, but we painted the yellow line. We have an ordinance that says that they can park over within reason to allow somebody to walk by, but also to allow traffic, more room. We painted a red line on the inside of that yellow line, designating where the tire would stay. I mean, it's just an idea, just so that it's out there.
There'd be no question as to how far in you can get.
And that's kind of it. You're putting that line there, and and then it's basically going to come down to educating the people. Hey, listen, this is what this
When
line
we change the
designates.
ordinance to not allow crossing the line, but that infringes on the right-of-way, the traveled way, rather. There's no easy answer to this, huh?
Do we have a...
Just in feet, so from the yellow line to the edge of pavement on the other side, it varies from like 22 to 23 feet, so you got like two 11-foot lanes. That's without a car there. And then you have 3 to 4 feet for that paint.
So you cut it down to one lane of traffic wherever there's a car, if they're not parked in the in the sidewalk.
If they don't try to get off the road, you just lose that distance. So I think that's half of the problem there. If we had two 12-foot lanes and 4 feet for parking, we wouldn't be here right now.
How about no parking on Cedar Street?
Well, what if is there a reason, or...
Chestnut Street, rather, not Cedar.
An explanation on why the walking path or the painted sidewalk is the width that it is? Is there...
ADA.
It is required ADA,
ADA, a sidewalk has to be 5 feet.
but a painted sidewalk, is that still the same?
Sidewalk's a sidewalk.
Why do we have to have a sidewalk?
You don't.
Well, that
I
was
don't
my
have a
next
sidewalk
question
on my
after that.
street.
We could do away with the
I have one on
sidewalk.
my
I
street.
think that was one of the
Yeah, you
things we
do.
looked at last year.
So if you,
Might be the,
But why would you get rid of a sidewalk that you have so the pedestrians, I mean, you have a church on the street, hence you probably have some pedestrian traffic. Why would you get rid of the sidewalk
So you're back to no parking on
in lieu of
Chestnut Street.
letting,
people walk
go
down
one
my
way.
street all the time,
Or
probably
you
just
make
as
it one
much
way.
as they do on
To accommodate.
any street, and
I don't
there's no
know, I'm
sidewalk.
sure that's why the
nicest
sidewalk's
No, I
probably
know.
painted there
I
because of
think
the
a couple
church.
years
Time
ago,
to
that was
change,
my
people just
recommendation.
don't.
Times have
And then you got
changed.
plenty of room.
And on the other side of the street, there is a
Yeah,
shoulder
especially if it
that's-
went
they
one
could-
way
people
in.
could walk on.
Prospect,
Yeah,
you come out.
it'd be one way in, I would
Yeah.
think.
Maybe. We should investigate our right-of-way.
we got two conversations going on here at the same time, and I think
Whatever's,
it's both
Move to the other
valuable.
side.
and allow, either have the parking over on the other side and make it narrower on that side for the sidewalk, or the minimum, or just do without the sidewalk completely and pave that shoulder a little bit more on the other side.
What if we, the chief suggested a couple years ago that we make Chestnut a one-way, and that would solve the issue on both sides of the
Yeah.
road, because now they can park on both sides of the road, and we wouldn't have the issue to,
No, they
One-
just park on one side.
Would you make it one way in?
Inbound.
That would eliminate that second access to
Okay.
Winter.
Do
I
you-
know, School Street. I mean, Route 3. That's a strange intersection. Doesn't Chestnut and Academy kind
Yes.
of do a weird thing?
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
there's
They'd be
Route
able to go
3.
in, they'd be able to, traffic could go in and up the hill.
So you could get them to go in and not
to
enter
not come out.
Route 3.
Well, not come out, and you'd still have Academy Street emptying in there, and you've got the light at Prospect,
Better one than
which gets
two.
people onto that road
I do.
much,
Yeah, they could come
Smooth.
down, actually, they'd access the light.
that's right.
Wow.
So a lot of people, not, a good portion of the people that come out from the school or veterans home, it's not just the school and it's not just the kids, it's also the workers that work in that area. They come down, go over Cedar Street, High Street, Prospect Street, and get the light, because it's faster.
I've been known to do that myself.
I do it every day. I don't see myself, I go to the light, I
Yeah,
go
me
to
too.
Prospect Street. I very seldom take a right onto, get out on, it's very difficult to get out from Winter Street onto Main Street.
Going east, for sure.
Yes.
West, not so much,
They
but
do is they come down Chestnut, and then they hang a left onto Academy, and technically they're supposed to stop, but they don't, and they just go like this, and I'm waiting for a good one, somebody coming off West Main onto Academy, and somebody...
Well, that would
doesn't go-
solve the issue if we made it inbound one way. What does the board feel about that?
Inbound
You-
on
Without
Chestnut.
having a meeting for letting the residents know that we're going to do
Well,
that.
I'm just trying to, yeah, I agree with you,
I think it's a good
Catherine, on that,
idea.
But I think,
That Academy Route 3 Chestnut is very strange, and I've made that left. It's really hard to do that properly without
Yeah.
getting into Route 3.
Yes.
It's very difficult. You can't.
You can.
You're cutting something off.
One way up to High Street, or one way up to...
No,
I would
so
think
Chestnut
high.
inbound, so up the hill.
Yeah,
All
up
the
there
way?
And then if you need to, you can west or high, you can make loops and get over to Prospect.
so the people on
Really
Daniel could
a
only,
short stretch of road, you,
right, well, the people on Daniel, like Kevin, would have to take a right when he gets out of his house and go Daniel to Prospect. He could never take a left coming down the hill.
I think you could have two-way on the upper section.
Yeah, north of High.
Control that.
But you would never,
Do not enter.
Right.
I live on Peabody Street, there's do not enter signs.
and they do
Go
it,
down there all the time.
yeah.
Yes, they do.
never a cop when you need one, huh?
enforcement there. It's called enforcement.
The problem you
So-
gotta think of is snow removal.
I patrol your
My
street.
big truck, if
I do too.
Unless I plow it with a little truck.
There's no cars supposed to be parked there during snow removal. You could go any way you want.
Oh, because your
Yeah, but
big truck
during
pitches to the
snow time,
right.
it's not parking anyway.
But
So you
then
couldn't-
traveling up the hill, all my
Okay.
snow plows to the right
You-
on the big truck.
You go to some of your bigger cities, they run the plow against traffic on the one-way streets for snow emergencies.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that.
You can, there's something you could do.
And-
Even if you
And you're
went
big enough,
both
they'll see
ways.
you coming.
So if you made it one way in, and I lived on Daniel Drive, and I wanted to visit a friend down across from the church,
They would have to come down Prospect.
I'd have to go
and up.
down Prospect.
And over.
then come
To
in.
Academy.
Not that,
It's not bad.
it's not horrible.
Well, the same way, if you lived on High Street and you wanted to go down to the church,
I
or
might
Pine
walk
Street and
that.
you wanted to go to the church,
Walk.
you would have to go all the way around.
Because there'll be a sidewalk now.
This was raining.
Now, the other part of this is that all the residents in that house, or the houses on the one-way part, are now going to be using High Street and West Street,
High
most
Street
likely,
is-
and that which is very narrow. How is that going to affect the residents with that much additional traffic? Because we already have
good
problems with
question.
that very narrow.
Well, it would be the residents, right? No, it would be more.
High
Because
Street is
church
very
would get
narrow.
out, church would, at the end of Mass, that they would get out, they would have to take a left, and then
Everybody go
immediately they
West
would be
Street
going
or
to
High.
West Street down.
West, High Street, you know.
Well,
They'll be
then,
going to West, they'll take the first
well, then
right.
what you do, you make West one way the wrong way for them, and then it solves that. If you're
Then
concerned
Either
on
way, you're
Westwood.
sending
then
all
you
that
double it up.
traffic
Down a street that's
into
even
that
narrower.
residential neighborhood, whether they go up Daniels Drive.
And
Higher
West is
West.
a tough street, because when you
Yes,
get
it
up to
is.
the top, it's worse than High Street when you get to the top, because you have that sharp transition from Prospect. And
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
lot of elderly that go to the church, and I could see that becoming a problem.
Especially somebody's going the other
Well,
way.
not
and
if they
trying to get
went
on.
all the way up to High Street.
The West is even narrower than Chestnut, so if you get a resident trying to come down,
What they've done in Concord near my house is they created a cul-de-sac by Jersey burying off one street. So now, if you Jersey bury
That's true.
the Chestnut end and west, you'll force them to go up to High Street.
Yeah, you can do that.
That blocks off West Street
Pull them
access.
in the winter.
Then
Pull 'em in
the
the winter for
people
snow
from
removal.
West Street could not
But then you can
come out.
train.
You know, if you wanted to come out West Street and go up the,
But your son's still sending a lot of traffic into a residential neighborhood, whether it's Daniel Drive, West Street.
you're sending
Street?
traffic anyway when the
What are we
amount
trying
of
to cure
traffic
here?
that comes down on Cedar Street,
But what are we trying to cure?
what,
Parking.
parking?
Just the parking. Could we
I think
not
they
look
should
at
park
widening
in
the
the
shoulder
driveway.
on the other side of the street when we do our update and just eliminate the... I think, eliminating the sidewalk is...
If you're going one way.
I think it eliminates the traffic on Chestnut if we do one way, because all of the people that get out around the time, they come down Winter, across Cedar, High Street, they're not gonna be able to turn right on Cedar and catch it out that way. They're gonna go straight across to Prospect and down, so that eliminates traffic on that tiny street. Sundays is gonna be the issue, because they're gonna come into church, go in, and now they have to take a left and go up the hill and then come down Prospect to get out, or go up the hill and take High and then down. That's what's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
but what's that, one mass on Saturday, two on Sunday?
That's it.
They have events sometimes.
But it's,
One on Saturday and one
I
on...
mean, you could do it except,
Besides
I've
us,
seen one-ways that are except a certain,
It's not,
Your
it's
idea.
really not, we would have we really need to have a public hearing, because that's what we've done in the past for our residents. Having said that, if you look at the times back in the days when a lot of people went to masses and they had an 8, a 9, a 11, a noon, that would be an issue, because now you're talking hundreds of cars. When you have one mass on Saturday and one on Sunday, it's really not
how
big,
many,
unless there was a funeral.
I have a question. How many complaints have we had from the residents on there about the parking?
I've had a number of them, but that's just me.
For Chestnut?
Yeah.
Has anybody made, it's in something in passing, but has anybody ever made an official complaint that there's cars blocking the sidewalk, or that they can't
I
walk the
I have no
sidewalk?
idea.
We had a couple years back, there was complaints about not being able to walk the sidewalks because brush was in the way, and then cars, when they cleared the brush out of the way, then cars decided that that was a free-for-all parking spot. So then they moved in, and then we went and spoke, Dennis went and spoke with them, and we hadn't had a problem since.
I had a complaint the day I was standing there.
We have had complaints in
only
the
one I had.
past.
Nobody, do they call? the
We had a
police?
huge complaint with, when the church, just below the parking lot below the church, the first one on Chestnut Street,
When they
they
used to allow
opened that
parking, yeah.
to residents for years and years. They allowed residents during the winter to park there. And then cars weren't being removed and
They couldn't plow it.
They couldn't plow it, so they stopped it. And they came to us and they wanted us to do, that's when Norm was on the board. And they wanted us to stop, and they got very angry at us because we couldn't do anything about the church, and they wanted to park there. And that's when we couldn't. And there was a lot of complaints about parking on the street at that time. But since then, there hasn't, I mean, we've gotten, Catherine's got some, Joe's got some, I've gotten a couple, but not, they were legitimate problems about specific people parking in a not-so-nice way.
If we eliminated the crosswalk completely and cleaned up the shoulder on the other side of the street so it's, not going to be, not make it officially a place to walk, but make it so that if somebody wanted to walk off the road, they could.
Well, if you wanted a walkway, what we could do is we had to grind that line,
Yeah.
the yellow line, put a fog line just a little bit closer to the houses, because you're one way, you're not worried about the two-way now no more. That way you keep the people off of the houses, so they're able to step out the door. They allow them to park on the same side of the street they've been parking on, so that the driver's in the driveway lane. And then move the walkway to the other side of the road.
Yeah.
Why the fog line?
Or
Why the fog line then?
So do you give them some place?
If there's nobody parked.
Say, this is where you stop?
Delineation.
A delineation to say, don't
Yeah.
park up against somebody's door, or don't hit them when you're walking out.
So like what neighbors
So it
say
allows
with the
them a
red line,
pathway.
but
It allows them to...
Now, fog-
Well, we don't do that on any other street. Are we gonna do that on the other streets?
On which street?
Any other street, are we gonna give,
I'm just talking about this one in particular for now. I mean, this is the one that has most of the houses closest right to the...
they're all the same?
In Cedar Street, if you had somebody parking on the edge of the painted line, the park, you still would have enough room for traffic to go by. And I've seen that over and over again. If there's a lot of vehicles that park, larger vehicles, like if Peter were there to park his truck there, then it would intrude into the
My
traffic.
half-ton? It's only a half-ton. It's a little pickup.
Baby truck.
It is. It's a toy.
Well, why don't we organize all these options people have come up with,
This is options for you guys. to-
and then
Let's set a public
have a
hearing.
meeting?
Yeah, I think so.
Send a letter out, Joyce, to the residents of Cedar, Maple, Spruce, Pine, Chestnut, Daniel, West, High, Prospect,
Linden.
Academy, Linden, Highland,
Where do you want to have this meeting?
Poplar,
Why Linden?
because they
Maybe we can do it
come
at
out
the
down,
church.
Come down Chestnut Street.
they come out Pine and come down Chestnut.
I was gonna say it's dead end, isn't it?
Yes.
Everywhere that's highlighted in purple on here. Every street in purple.
Could we have that somewhere else, possibly at the church? Would they allow us to do that at the church
Get out
there?
of here. The amount of people that were,
You wanna be in the neighborhood.
I was thinking,
oh,
have it in their neighborhood, and I don't know if the church would open that up for us, because there could be a lot of people showing up.
Take away some yard.
I know somebody I can call
We don't have many people that should.
church,
Go over good.
that who would know who to talk to if we don't
right
know.
there.
Oh, there you go.
I missed that conversation.
Well, do you think with all those people, and they know that they're going to talk about the parking, that we'll have enough room and...
Have a public, see if the church will allow us to have the public hearing at the Booton Center.
That's a
I think
We don't have any
It's not a religious gathering, come on down.
My dog bit him once.
I mean, nothing that's in the law.
When is graduation?
June 10th,
Yep.
Okay.
Friday, June 10th.
How about Thursday, June 2nd?
My daughter in school.
No,
My son.
no. They were afraid of me.
Oh, they'd heard the rumors.
I'd be afraid of you. What, you think that's okay? We usually have it at 7, so other people can show up.
And then,
June 2nd?
the notice that goes out is how much information do you want to give them?
Nice.
I mean, if you're asking for the public comment on something that you haven't decided on yet.
Turning Chestnut into a one-way.
Okay.
And,
To accommodate
Well,
parking.
possibility of eliminating
Or
the
eliminating
sidewalk,
sidewalk.
moving it over. There's some options that have
I'm a
been.
no on the sidewalk.
I think
we could say in other parking-related issues. I mean, do you want to go into details on the,
I think I'd put eliminating the sidewalk and...
I'm a no.
I put the
I'm a
options in
definite
there
no
so
on
they could be
that.
thinking about it.
right, so
Proximity
Joyce
to the
wants to know
school.
which options we want to put in the, so eliminating sidewalks,
One way.
one way,
One way for just Chestnut, because that would get people out.
one way for Chestnut. What's that?
Eminent domain.
Stand by for the fortune picture.
I won't be around that night.
All the
I wouldn't come.
sidewalks,
I saw lanterns and ropes walking down the road that night.
I just didn't want to bring back the stalks.
Impact weapon.
walk on the sidewalk today. They walk on the-
Let the record show.
You would say eliminate painted sidewalk.
Painted sidewalks. You can't eliminate sidewalks, just eliminate painted sidewalks.
Well, there are no sidewalks, it's just painted area.
It is a
designated area.
painted sidewalk.
We have sidewalks on Cedar Street.
We have a painted sidewalk on Main Street.
So
Yes,
why
they
can't we
are.
eliminate that sidewalk?
We can.
Yes, they
You
are.
can, but I'm against it because of the schools. You got a lot of walkers
He
coming
does
down
with the
there.
little machine. Well, that's debatable.
eBay down in Italy, certainly doesn't on mine.
I know. You're on Pine Street. I'm on Cedar Street.
You're past High Street. I'm on Cedar.
Moving right along.
Anyway,
You hear that, Johnny?
I didn't hear it. I'm deaf.
Okay, the sidewalk machine. Don't pull the deaf card here now.
able to get June 2nd, what time?
7.
7.
If we can't get the Booton Center, we'll have it here. It's the way it is. I could go either way on whether to have
So-
it over there or not.
Are we going to have the public meeting there or our entire selectmen's meeting?
Yes.
That's a neither or question.
Well, if a lot of people show up for this, how much selectmen meeting then? Do we want to have this at a separate night?
We have
Public hearing?
4:30 to at least 6:30 for Selectmen's meeting, and then we can go over there.
So it'll be a matter of scheduling no one.
What would the date be?
Oh, I
Nothing
planned on
extra.
that. June 2nd,
Sounds good.
And that's a good time for you?
7. Well, we could do 4:30.
Does that fit your schedule?
We don't have anything, and we're not going to plan any other people come in. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold
I
on.
thought that was going to be towards the end.
Is it ever that simple?
Nope, I'm good. Yep, thank you. I'm good. The end of June. 22nd, I think. Okay, great. John, you're gonna get the information on the signs next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you wanted to
more plastic and stuff too.
We want the, right, well, I haven't talked to the board, we haven't talked to the board yesterday, which is another thing I want to talk about. Today, I went down to the business, all the businesses downtown, and I told them that DOT starting next week on the drainage. So in talking about that and telling them about the changes in the crosswalks that DOT is going to do downtown. Actually, two business owners asked to talk to the board tonight about the two parallel parking that are in front of the municipal parking at T-Hop. You know, the two,
In between the horseshoe?
yes, in between the horseshoe. When they come out the door, so let's say if you're at Steady's Insurance and you're coming out that way, if there's a truck parked at either one of those spaces, or both of those spaces, you can't see.
That's true.
You're going out there.
Right.
Try coming out Rescue Lane when you've got cars parked in front of the church, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing in this.
You gotta nose yourself out slowly, listen for the horns.
So I'd said I would bring it up and perhaps maybe, put some thought to what we could do.
Well, I've thought of that, and I've thought about making that side next to the insurance office, entry only, and have them exit out by T-Hop, because then you can actually see the traffic coming from the light, and you get a better visual. Because when I go in there with a cruiser or anything, that's how I go. I go
That's how I
that
go.
way.
The parking goes that way.
Yeah.
Is the parking lot painted for that right now? I think it
Yeah.
is.
Yes.
Yeah, because
I think it
if you
is.
go the other way, you back in.
All right.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing, it's painted so that if you go in the way Nate's suggesting, it works. But if
Yeah.
you go in the other way, you gotta pull
Back.
forward and back
You
in.
back in,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or you gotta do a 10-point turn to get into
So arrows on the...
But nothing says you have to. I actually have pictures of it.
So can we make it so that they have to go in and out?
We can sign it that way, yeah.
Well, you're buying signs, right? If you
Is
don't
the
have
board,
Can you paint arrows in the pavement?
Yeah, we
I
can.
think that's good.
is the board acceptable to that?
I think that's an outstanding idea.
Start.
Okay,
Take
They'll
these
fit
at a
right
time.
in.
Do you consider it a safety issue? Sure.
yep.
So you go in the west side and come out the east side?
No.
Other way?
You
The
go
other
in
way.
the east side, this side, and come out the west
Come
side.
out the west side, okay.
I think we should do the courtesy of letting the business owners know that are right there, that, whose customers use it. that-
Well, yeah, we should, but it's our lot,
Come in
right?
the east side,
Our access.
this way.
No, they're not.
Coming in.
No, if you come in the other way, I have to back in. If I come in, turn
This
here.
picture,
It's true, Joyce.
it's not why I took the picture.
So,
If you had two signs
I'm in there like 3 times.
exit only.
And
You
if
can
we
see it
get
on the
an
map.
Well,
entry.
The lines are a little...
Car right at the driveway,
Nobody-
at least it'll be
Following.
conspicuous.
They'll fit in good with cleaning up that
I
spot.
don't have stencils, that many stencils, I'm looking to buy stencils.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, does any of the other towns have them?
Yeah, they just pull
Do
in.
any of the other
so,
have them?
in con-
Franklin.
None would do with that.
all right, on another note, while I still have you here, yesterday we met with the commissioner of DOT because they wanted to eliminate some of our
This
parking.
one?
Yep.
Or this one.
This one. So they wanted to eliminate and move our crosswalks, which would eliminate a lot of our parking spaces. And we met with them about a month and a half ago, and we said it's unacceptable. So yesterday they came in with a compromise, somewhat of a compromise. They are going to paint the sidewalks when they resurface, and they're going to use that thermoplastic
Crosswalks.
the crosswalks, I'm sorry, the crosswalks with that thermoplastic, which lasts 3 to 5 years,
Step number 5,
except number 5, which is T-hop, they want to eliminate that altogether.
we're going to put it back.
So I've asked Johnny to look at the difference between the cost and paint, because they'll be doing all the crosswalks with thermoplastic paint, and we'll be doing it with all the parking every year with that other paint. So would it be cost-effective to us to do the thermoplastic 3 this year, and then 3 years from now, do all of them when we maintain them? So that was why Johnny was talking about thermoplastic. But, so, for the record, this is the changes that they want. When we start at Town Hall, Cumbies, they're not changing. They're slightly going to change it to just a little bit to the left.
That's to the park, right?
Right. And then Town Hall, the line on the crosswalk goes between the hydrant and the trough. They're going to move the crosswalk to the opposite side of the hydrant. And then they want to do a circle here. There's,
Here where?
some of them said 3 feet, some of them said semicircle, and another one said 6 feet.
Right here.
So we went out and
Just
stood
provide a
there
safe
at the
zone.
Oh, a safe
6-foot
zone,
mark,
right.
and
Especially if you have
she was
someone
quite
sign up
aware
there.
of the traffic. There was a couple of swear words coming from a couple of the windows. So we would eliminate the first angled parking space, because now you can't have a parking space next to it for 10 feet. However, these 2 parking spaces here, which the selectmen still have to talk about tonight, the first one at Town Hall that's existing now can stay there, but we have a striped one that we might be able to unstripe. So that's an option. Now we get over here to the 2 parallel parking spaces. We're losing 1 parallel parking space because we have this one going across. And then,
Were they definite on that, Pat? Because a
but-
couple of them were standing back on the sidewalk, and because of the angle, they were commenting that there may have been enough sight
No.
distance there.
This sidewalk over here, they're not moving. Right
the
here.
crosswalk, they're not
I
moving.
mean, the crosswalk,
But
they're
the-
not moving.
But the parking space, they're eliminating.
They can't eliminate our parking spaces.
Well, that-
We are going to paint the parking spaces, they're not. So we simply paint our parking spaces back in. They're putting in the truncated domes.
Yeah, they said they were going to paint the parking.
Now, I asked them 3 times when we were standing out there, they're painting the crosswalks,
The
not
crosswalks
the
only.
spaces.
They're not the, but they
So-
want to eliminate this one. The Board of Selectmen,
ADA line of sight.
right, and the Selectmen
anybody's line
haven't
of
discussed
sight.
it yet.
That's what they're claiming.
Well, it's hard
Right.
sitting down in a
Everybody's
wheelchair.
line.
I'm just trying to say what the state wants to do right now.
Oh, okay.
And so they want to eliminate this one here. And then right where the 3 is, in front of the tanning booth, they want to eliminate that parking space as well. Now, over here, where you get haircuts for men, the pole, it's too close to the intersection, it's not ADA compliant. They want to move it sort of on the opposite side of the pole and come across, so the right side of it would be towards the church, and the alley would be clear. And we would eliminate the parallel parking, but we could, there's enough space here to add an angle parking, okay? And this parking space here, they went out and measured, if they moved it over here, there was a truck in that parking space, and it was right nose to nose, 10 feet, so they said we wouldn't lose that one. Well, we can say whether we lose them or not. They also suggested that we take a look as a board, the 2 parallel spaces in front of the church, and possibly make them into 3 angled or 4, but if you make them to 4, you're not going to be able to come out on
Doesn't that
the
make
center
it
street.
harder for
The fire.
the fire trucks to turn?
I don't know
To
that.
stick them out there as opposed to...
Yeah, they're gonna have to look at the clearance.
It would be
as far
this
as
way.
The turning
I think we
radius.
should leave the 2 parallels right where they are, because if, you're going to lose the parallel in front of the hair salons, and people, they may not be ADA, they may not have a placard, but they like those because their passengers can get right out.
Right,
There's no
easy.
curb there. It's much easier for the
That's
in and
what
out.
that's used for a lot.
Yeah, and they like those. So if we're going to eliminate the one, we should keep the two. And as Nate said, it's not going to conflict with the
Fire.
ingress and egress of the fire.
And they want to completely eliminate the T-hop crosswalk. And they said if the town really wanted that, we would have to sign over liability, and said we assume all liability on that. So we talked a little bit about lighting, the little thing, LED one. I don't know if you have the book, or Catherine had the book, but he said it has to be crash tested according to DOT standards, because a lot of them have the batteries up in the top and they're not crash tested. They have to be the battery on the base. Some of those are crash tested. So we have, that may or may not be acceptable to them. Johnny had brought up the push button, when that's $20,000 for the light, the push, okay. And then you brought up just angling light down onto the crosswalk, just having angled light go down.
Spotlights, one on
Right.
either side, that would help out immensely, right?
Right, and so if we did that, that would help out.
There's only
But to
one.
lose that, I think really seriously, that's like,
There's a lot of foot traffic across there.
They're gonna use it regardless.
I use it
Right,
too.
totally.
I mean,
yeah.
They backed off on the signing off on the liability when I questioned them, because we've been painting that crosswalk for decades, putting it there. They don't put it in, but we do. They're simply not going to paint it. We will paint it. Therefore, there's no liability on their part. We're putting it back in.
That's all they really want, is they don't want to take the
Yeah,
responsibility if anybody gets hurt. Because technically, you can cross any road in the state of New Hampshire at your own risk. But then when you're in a crosswalk, you're supposed to be protected. And when the state puts them in, they're saying you're safe to cross here. And if you're not safe, then they take the liability for putting that in there. They don't want to take the liability, so if we put it in there, we take the liability if somebody gets hurt or hit.
The drainage portion of this is all going to take place starting next week. We've allowed them to have a staging area in the municipal parking next to network managers. I've spoken with the store. They usually have employees park over there, but they're not. They're going to put cones up the night before they come over to put things over on that, so you'll know that that's the state of New Hampshire's DOT's material. They're going to do one at a time drainage, work on one, cone it around, and still maintain two-way traffic, and then move to the next one. There will be a couple that will be probably difficult because they connect across the street. There's some of the drainage that they don't have to do anything with, but primarily the one out here, Cannon, the one in front of the Cupcakes, and the Haircuts for Men are ones that they have to work on. So, in the event that they have to do it during the daytime, in the event that they cannot promise the two-way traffic, then we'll have to ask you to reroute the traffic around. When they begin the work, we're hoping that they communicate. If they don't, we need you to make sure that fire is communicated so that when they start on about the Cupcake place, fire has to be notified that they can't come out Cedar Street, that they have to go out the other way, or over here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, fire's gonna really have to be kept in the loop constantly.
Because it's going to be the whole street. And then in July is the paving, and that's going to be done at night,
That'll go quick, though.
all the way to Cumbies.
That shouldn't take them long. I mean, in West Main, they were running,
2 days, maybe?
they were running a lane,
Yeah.
500 yards long in like 2 hours. So that shouldn't take
Well,
them.
they have to dig the whole thing up first.
Cold plane.
Yeah, they're gonna mill it.
They're gonna mill it and then put,
That'll be what takes the
Yeah.
most
Longer
time.
than paving it, actually.
Yeah.
you
So
should
I
send
would-
something to the people who live on Main Street to let them know that grinding up the road is going to be taking place, as
Right.
soon as we know when.
Is that going to be at night too?
Absolutely.
You're going to have to sleep with earplugs in.
Yeah, that's a loud process.
Oh, yeah.
Down on Main Street, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the
Gonna
state
take all-
usually, they put a sign up there
They did the other one.
about a week beforehand saying beginning this date.
Living down here,
Yeah, I
trying
had
to
it.
get some sleep.
Are they
Yeah.
gonna
Details every
mill
day.
and fill the
A
same
lot of
night?
workers down there.
Two crews, isn't that what they did?
Well, so I just wanted to keep you
Yeah, so they'll
apprised
probably
of
do the same.
what's going on, because they did say that they were going to start next week, and in the event that you get a complaint or something like that, make sure you call Joyce. Joyce is going to have the cell phone of the project manager. She can give it to you, chief, or you, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if we need to reroute, we can, and we'll still allow fire in and out, and make sure that they leave a clear path for fire in and out.
Well, if it's daytime, I don't see why fire can't go to Park Street.
And they can, yeah, and I think they talked about that too.
So,
Well, we'll get the signs ready. I'll get with you, get detour signs ready,
So we'll
so
have them set up in place, all we gotta do.
and that way, if we need to do it, we can have it done like that.
all right, so explaining what they were done, do you agree with Catherine and the board about not turning those two parallel spaces into angled at the church to gain
I
one?
think I do.
I don't think it would be a good fit,
Just if you get a big truck there.
It narrows down,
because you got Tryon Lane, you got Rescue Road,
Yeah.
and both of those, I mean, if you've got deliveries that are gonna go up Tryon Lane, it's gonna create an even narrower situation there,
Fire trucks, we're gonna have a
and the
problem.
trucks coming out.
Something sticking further out in the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Quite a
well,
bit further.
the road narrows after the Cupcake, when the Cupcake, from there down it narrows, from where the
It
church
does.
is, it stays the same as it is up in Polly's. But I kind of agree with
Those
everybody
fire
else.
trucks are,
mean, I
that one
wouldn't-
fire truck's long.
I wouldn't mind a few
Curve there,
more,
too, in a little bit, right there.
It's coming back in.
mind trying to get it angled spot somewhere else to make up for anything we lose, but I agree with Nate and Catherine and everyone that would be tough right there for the fire trucks. It's hard for them to get out as it is. But,
Well, initially, when they were going through this process, I think it was, 13 spaces we were going to lose? And now it's down to,
5, they said?
well, no, it was 5, but then they moved things around, and now I think it's down to 3.
I think that's what I saw
Two or
last, was
three.
Yeah.
3.
I think it's like down to 3, so, and we have like this parallel, like Catherine had said, we have a choice. We can make that into a small car one.
I was gonna say, designate it for compact only.
Compact or motorcycles, whatever. We could do that. Just shorten it.
A place for motorcycles? Finally, I never thought I'd live to see the day.
We're just talking about it, Joe.
know.
I brought that forward once, and it didn't work out.
I think it would be a perfect spot because we have to shorten it anyway. It's either compact car or motorcycle, which you win in any case.
Get all kinds of vision there.
That's right.
Whenever we paint it, this is our lot.
And if we need to, I mean, I can check.
Oh, we'd have to
this.
look on our
Catherine
schedule.
found those LED lights that run on solar.
We really need to get a hold of that
Pretty nasty.
because we really need to save that crosswalk. So whether it's the LED or the solar, something that we can do, and with advice from Eversource, and see if we can't
The
get,
ones I'm talking about, right?
Serves no
They're
purpose.
LED,
No, it doesn't.
it says crosswalk.
Makes it hard,
The
so
solar
if you
panel.
Park here,
They
you
have
can't
them
get to it.
all around Plymouth State right now, and they're bright, like,
so,
Well, do we need 2, 1 for each end? Is that the way that works?
so maybe you can get, maybe they'll let us borrow one for,
Indefinitely?
Talk to
I
some of
don't
the
know,
college
just
kids,
to
they'll
see,
help you out.
see if it's gonna work or not.
either that or see if I can get maybe Safe Streets grant or something for them. See if I can find some money for them.
I heard Joyce was really good at finding grants.
But for the T-Hawk
Are they-
parking?
Joyce who, she says.
For lighting, for pedestrian lighting?
Like maybe under the
that-
Safe Streets
Yeah,
grant.
yeah, the New Hampshire
Department of Safety.
Pizza tax.
The chief is more successful than O'Brien is more successful. Hey,
That's Donna.
Just one more thing we add on. No problem.
You know all those guys.
You know where to find me to sign it.
I mean, now's the time to ask.
Well, we told the state that we would look into the lighting, but we would show them what we come up with. And so it wouldn't hurt to talk with PSNH and see what it would be for a light to come down off of that pole there.
Might even be able to do an LED light on top of that
It's
sign.
solar.
An LED light.
For the crosswalk?
With a little walking guy?
What Bill Lambert
You know the
is
guy.
looking for is a lighted signal that when a pedestrian approaches the crosswalk, they can hit it, and then it'll light up to warn a motor vehicle that a pedestrian's in the crosswalk. Not that there's a crosswalk there, there's actually a pedestrian. They have a system that a pedestrian can activate, and it's in the asphalt.
So it's a pressure plate,
So,
similar to the traffic lights.
well, with a button or whatever, they activate it, and then that crosswalk all the way across the street lights up. They also have them for the side of the road. The pedestrian activates it, and then it goes, pedestrian, pedestrian, pedestrian.
Well,
They
that's,
cross.
I know
And when there's
Dover-
not a pedestrian in the crosswalk, it doesn't light up. But that's what Bill Rollins was looking for.
Dover tried that one in the side, in the ground.
Yeah?
Had to work with the plows.
We can call and find out.
They have, I've seen them out west, I've seen them in Arizona, but, down off the plateau, they don't have.
It'd be a heck of
that's
an
always been a
idea.
problem with that walk. There's not enough
Lighted.
lighting there.
Right.
And a lot of people, they're not wearing reflective clothing, so even, driving in a police cruiser, you're looking for things, and sometimes they just
Yeah.
appear in front of you. And
Oh, I know, people dress all in black and they're in the
My
street.
big thing is like the lighting right there.
Could be
There's
much
another
better.
light, Yeah.
Yeah, because you can set it up so you have a Wi-Fi connection, and you have the signs, like Chief's talking about, and it's lit up with the letters and stuff, so that when you press the button, that lights up. But you can also set up directional lighting that shines strictly pretty much on the crosswalk.
Well, that's kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I've seen how well the button thing works on crosswalks at intersections and stuff. And a lot of times the pedestrians don't use them, or they can't figure them out.
And they don't wait.
They figure they don't do anything.
don't
yeah.
wait.
If there was something
They push them
that
across.
did it automatically, like a pressure
That's
plane
the
or
ones they
something like
put-
that,
Yeah.
or,
Those.
a cross beam.
Now, see,
Oh, yeah.
that would, I would think that would be, but he said that wouldn't be crash tested by DOT.
Yeah, because he's worried about this coming through a windshield.
So can we hang it, string it across the road?
That's a possibility. Concord's got all kinds of,
It's just a matter of, do we have the poles in position to do that or not?
Because the phone company, I don't think will let us put it up on their pole high enough.
See there, Pat, you got the lights on the
That's why we
sidewalk.
don't have
and
Christmas
the sign.
lights
Yeah,
downtown.
I like that idea, but it would be
Yeah, like the
awful on the plow.
connections and-
Yeah, I know, that's probably Florida or something.
Florida. Let's give her the snow and we're all set, yeah.
Just buy a new set every summer, right? All right. So, any other questions while we have everyone here? Okay. Thank you so much for helping us get through this parking dilemma. All set. Thank you. You sticking around? All right.
Oh, is
You coming?
Johnny leaving
You coming with that?
for the night? Is he leaving for the night, Johnny?
Yes.
Oh,
No, I don't know.
you, did we have more for, did we have more for Johnny?
He's not leaving yet, Mr. Van Tassel.
Not so easy.
Yeah, he is.
No, he's not.
no, we can do it. I'll try to remember to do it tomorrow.
Because once I get out of there.
You could take that out if you want. Oh, definitely.
If you don't see me down there.
That's all right.
So that's really the only thing I changed from what you
Okay,
had done before. Yeah, so, good.
I get that. How much more do you have?
Very little.
Okay.
John, I think, has a question. for
John has some conversation he wants to have with Johnny.
Yeah, Catherine brought in the thing, these are the hedges, did you see them?
Yep.
So I think we just want to cut them right off.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that. before.
Johnny had a question before we started, and one of the questions was, do you want to cut them all down and remove the railroad ties and put up like a block? Go ahead, Johnny, you explain it.
Well, the railroad ties and stuff, we talked about it before, and I was thinking back on it, and I was getting a little confused with myself. We have all this stuff down near the sewer things, I guess it is. I thought you wanted those cut right down. For
Cynthia.
I can't say it, yeah. I think I was taking it, you wanted those all cut completely down. I wasn't sure about this stuff, if you wanted it completely down to the ground level. But the guys have already went in and cleaned up around that area. And these railroad ties that are in the island, they're pretty much, they're shot.
They're gone,
Everything there.
yeah. I mean, even, you can see that.
Yeah, so really, they're in need of replacing. But, and again, it's one of those things I didn't plan out in the budget for. But if you're gonna do any type of major repair to this thing, is this what we want to go back to, or do we want to try to do something different, better,
Excuse me.
maybe even more appealing? And do we want even this kind of bush back in there? Because I can rip it out with a backhoe. I know we want a separation for the parking lot.
Do we?
Well, that's up to you
I mean,
guys. I mean, we need some sort of separation.
Do we?
Because, well, we don't have to, it could be any kind you want.
Yeah, I mean,
It's nice to have a green space, but that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that's,
even some curb sections or something like that, then that way you could even pile snow there. 'Cause that serves absolutely no purpose now, except
If it's
for,
paint, then you can plow right over it. It'll make snow removal that much easier.
The planning board likes to see green space in the parking lots. That's,
that's true.
you know, so that's why you see
We'll
that.
get
Maybe a strip of
green
grass in the
But
middle with
that's,
some curb.
that's just, that's
So that-
crazy.
That allows drainage.
That's a mess.
Is there anything else buried in that thing?
Wiring?
I'd
Wiring?
have to have it out dig safe to find out.
Yeah.
And I
Is there wiring in
I
that
don't know.
thing?
I have to have it dig safe and everything to find out. I don't know if there could be,
We know
I
how
don't
that
even know if it's
works.
sewer, nothing. I have to find that all out. But, because if I rip them out, I could rip it out with, something out with the roof. But I'll have to get station, but, we could do something
digging for
different,
those.
like with pavers, or
Yeah.
block.
Anything but
Something a little bit more
peppermint.
decorative.
Oh, but peppermint?
Flush type or?
Or a little bit higher, or if they want greenery. I can plant something here that's not a tall growing bush that we can go in, maybe trim it once or twice a year and move on. And I'll be able to mark it so that when we're doing our snow removal, we know where to stop
Yeah.
and not tear it up and stuff like that. But the ties and stuff, they've outlived their life. They're pretty much shot. They're not, there's no way I can make them look good anymore.
The last time we cut them down with Main Street program, the greenery, we were there, the railroad ties were pretty shot
They've been
then.
shot for a while.
Yeah, so I didn't know what you guys wanted me to do with it. I mean,
Are the railroad ties on asphalt, or did they just asphalt to the ties?
It looks like, you know, I'd have to get it investigated better, but it looks like it just goes up to the railroad ties. But I can come up with some kind of a block. You know, obviously I'd have to look at the cost effectiveness of it all. Like, you know, they go to walls and stuff all the time that I can put up and put a topper block on it, and then we put loam. We have plenty of loam and stuff, and a different type of shrubbery or greenery. It would just make the whole parking lot look
So
better.
just take all of it out and start over? Is that
If
what
we-
you're trying to
If
do?
we took it out
You wouldn't have to take
and
it
just
all
left a green patch, perhaps somebody
Just to
could
mow it?
donate a tree, just to mow it or something like that, and so that water can get in there, you can plow snow, and just put the curb sections in some blocks, because if you hit a plow, if you put blocks in, cement them, and then somebody's plowing or backs into it, it's gonna look the same again.
Yeah, my only fear with not putting anything back is if we don't cover it with something permanent, it might all just wash down into the parking lot all the time every time it rains. Like, water goes in there.
Yeah, you'd have to put something back. But we want railroad ties back in there, or do we want like a block type thing?
See what's more permanent, get a price on both. Replacing the railroad ties, something else. I've seen those landscaping, they're cinder blocks that look pretty. They have a pretty face, is what they are. They're cinder block with a pretty face, they're a little wider, and you stack them up.
And
Fill 'em with
they're
dirt.
pretty durable, so, and if we didn't...
As long as you don't run into them.
But that's why I was saying I could set them up so that I mark them with whips in the wintertime and...
One truck backing up with a trailer hitch.
So
Yeah.
what are you calling that?
If it was,
The median?
if it was
The
just like a
median,
bituminous,
municipal parking, yeah. T-Hop,
just the bituminous curb section
Municipal
going through
parking.
there and just fill it in with
think it's a
dirt
great
and mulch on the top.
It would just make it look...
That too,
Cheap.
I like,
that
to
too.
make everybody feel good walking away from it too, when we did it.
But if you're gonna do that, can we also look down by the guardrail and fill that in?
Yeah, yeah.
And where I spoke about those two parallel parking spots there,
On Main Street, or...
They're on the other side.
oh no,
Yeah, down.
no, that's not where the parallel.
Here, give me.
In front of Rio Burrito,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
on the sidewalk,
those?
there's a big dip that really needs immediate attention,
Oh, for asphalt, yeah.
real immediate attention.
They're supposed to open the pipeline like next week,
Okay.
and I usually like to wait the first week out before I go, let them work their bugs out, and I can see about leveling that off.
Okay.
Unless I might be able to go there, so...
No, just take a look at it first, see what it needs. Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
Something that's easy to maintain, doesn't obstruct the view to make like a place for people to,
because I know when I
Leave
pull
it and stripe it.
I pull in the way that we were talking about.
bumpers or something, maybe a little
You can't see across
grass
the way if
area.
there's anything over there.
This way you can maintain it in the winter.
You know,
So you got your work cut out for you next week.
It's no different than
Yep.
any supermarket parking
Now, you
lot.
gotta remember, I got an employee going out, so...
No, I know.
If it can
You're
be,
gonna have to be on the...
You're the one that suggested the
Gotta
work.
keep up with
people have
it.
to, so everybody's gonna have to work twice as hard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta keep up with it.
All right.
Never ends.
No.
That's a good thing, though.
No, job security, you're right.
Okay, first thing, this is a letter from Dan Crean. Since he's retiring, we have to give him a letter
You guys have a good
in
night.
writing,
Good night.
letting him know how we want him to dispose of our files.
Give them to us.
Okay, and then he needs a duly authorized signature.
I think he needs to give them to us. Then we can throw away what we want.
All right, so we can check off,
Yeah. we
please.
can go through them and see what we want to do with them.
See what we might be missing.
And then just
All right.
authorize the chairman to sign it.
Please return all client files. Here you go, right there.
I make a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the document in question.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
All right. Client name, Town of Tilton?
To subrogate our authority.
And I wanted Catherine and Peter to see this notice that's going out tomorrow to the businesses.
Oh, here. Here,
Oh,
look at mine.
I tweaked it a little bit.
Oh, you tweaked
I
it?
improved my grammar.
Okay, so what's happening the beginning of May is the trenching. Not the pavement resurfacing, that's coming in July.
Yep. That's what it says at the bottom.
paving will begin in July, but we're not telling them what's taking place, really. 2 travel lanes we've kept on, however, some parking space we closed temporarily during the installation of the catch basins and culverts.
Well, that pretty much explains it, culverts. I mean, we could write a book,
I
but
didn't say anything
Well, I
about
think the
sidewalks.
heading, the beef, what's happening should be what? What's happening, what? It's not just resurfacing, it's catch basin and, that's at the bottom?
The project.
culverts.
New Hampshire Department of Transportation,
Resurfacing project. If we add after when, and then put another when's the surfacing, paving gonna start? Sometime in,
Estimated in July.
is it a maintenance and resurfacing program?
Just put in catch basin work.
Okay.
well, if you put down here, because then you won't have to tell them again, and then put sometime in July paving,
Tentative.
road paving, tentative.
Because they can always
Says
change it.
paving will be in July.
Just add,
They've got till,
and catch basin work.
That's the other, that's the old one.
And
they got
catch
most
basin
Send
likely-
the heads up before it.
Okay.
We'll
That's
notify them when we get
All
the
right, so in
date.
the heading,
Four
put
words.
wants to see-
catch
Might be end of
basin.
June, 1st of
Just put
August,
out
who knows?
pavement resurfacing.
why not
Project.
drainage work?
and
Drainage
catch- 'cause it's-
improvements.
It's catch basin, it's trenching. That's what I'm more concerned about, is the trenching. They start trenching across the road, people are gonna go, that's not repaving. Then they're gonna go, oh yeah, it was at the bottom.
And drainage improvements.
I don't,
Yeah. Because
Is
when
there
I went down
concrete
there, I spoke with
Under
them.
here, too? Does this have concrete?
I think it does.
So if they're gonna replace drainage across the road, they're gonna have to saw cut,
They're gonna be saw cutting, there'll be some jackhammering, there'll be,
which is interesting because they'll go 4 to 6 feet. When sewer wants to do it, it's 50 foot. You'd have to take the whole slab.
All right, that's too detailed information for just letting people know that they're
No,
going to be
just-
inconvenienced for a
Drainage.
while.
project, and,
Okay, pavement resurfacing and drainage improvement project.
there you go.
Okay. I had, you weren't here before, but I had emailed everybody a notification from John Bossy that he's working with, at the Veterans Home with Liberty Utilities to install gas, and wanted us to notify the water company and the sewer commission. And I asked the selectmen if it'd be okay if I wrote a letter to the transportation commissioner, giving her some background information on the state roads in Tilton that so desperately need to be approved, and to make sure that they include Winter Street in their,
I don't see it.
would have been a couple days. The heading of it is just FYI.
Why are we notifying the water district for them?
He asked me to notify other utilities.
Did you already write it down?
I don't think it should be our responsibility. I mean, it's a courtesy,
Yeah, but, I know,
but-
but he just wanted to be sure that he was including everybody, so probably the water company got 2 notices.
and that would be fine, but I don't want us to be liable. That's fine. It's just stuff.
So just wanted you to know, hopefully that
Thank you.
the state then can do that, all right? And that the town, and just reiterate that the town has no intention of ever taking over maintenance of that road. Use of vehicle policy for all departments, I've not finished that yet. Highway Department, for the job description and ad, I haven't had a chance to sit down with Johnny yet. Postcard, our postcard is at the printers as we speak. It won't be ready until Monday. But that's okay, because that will give me tomorrow and over the weekend to prepare the mailing for the post office. I have to declare exactly what routes we're taking and calculate the postage and get that ready. And then there will be a number of these mailers, probably about maybe 100, a little over 100, that we'll do our own labels on and just use regular postage rate, because we don't want to send some of these routes cross over into Northfield, and we don't want to notify more of Northfield than we would of our own residents. So Fortunately, I saved all that material from our last mailing, so, and the printing is going to be cheaper than last year, $380 something, and is that with all the discounts?
Not including the coupons.
Yeah, so we still have some more coupons, so that brings the price down. And postage, I don't know what the difference in postage would be. And then also, did we show Peter and Catherine the map for Saturday?
Haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay, that's yours, okay. The flags arrived, and next week sometime where did Johnny go? Did he leave?
He left.
Okay. We'll get those installed. Oh, and I spoke with Paul Reschel about the tree out front, that the flag gets snagged in. He recommending having that tree trimmed back. But ideally, if there's any way the tree can be removed, because it is growing up into the wires.
Yeah, he and I stood here and looked out at it, and he said if he trims that to keep the flag from in it, I mean, you're gonna end up with this flat tree on one side that's gonna lose its shape, because it has to,
So it's-
the branches.
Like that other tree, the wrong tree.
And it is great, yeah, it's too tall of a tree to be there. I say take it out.
That was his recommendation.
Take it out, and then we could put something more appropriate. Shrub, miniature, a barrel.
The one that,
I don't know.
the one that comes down by Haircuts for Men also has to come out, because that's going to be at the
Yep.
end of the
But the state will
crosswalk.
take that out, won't
The
they?
state will take that one out, but I just wanted to tell the other selectmen that
Will they
that was...
replace that, or no?
No.
No, because it's
crosswalk
gonna,
will go there.
the crosswalk's going there. We're gonna have to asphalt it. We should have told Johnny that. He's gonna have to asphalt that over.
I think he's planning on doing some of the other ones too. The ones that were taken
Yeah,
out
he's
last
gonna
year.
do the others, so really, if we can, if it can be done, if Johnny does the others prior to the state getting to that one, we should tell Johnny, and he can do that third one.
Okay, asphalt over the 3.
He's gonna do these 2 that we took out in the fall.
Yep, I remember that.
So if he gets to, if the state gets to that other one, fine, but
All right, so who do you want me to contact to remove these? Do you want the highway department to remove them, or do you want Paul to remove them?
Let's have highway, it doesn't
Highway.
cost us anything except the labor.
I'm sorry?
Highway just costs us the labor.
and they're gonna chip them down.
Good time to try the new chipper.
There you go.
That's-
No, I don't think they're
No,
gonna
no, no.
use that out
They're not
there.
gonna use that one out there.
We
Way
can
too
take it
big.
back to town hall.
Yeah,
Take it back to town hall and use it, yeah.
Garage.
I mean, town garage and use it, but,
Branches, or
no, and then throw it in, yeah, but you.
That
it'll
sucker would
take up the
probably
whole-
take the whole tree.
It'll be too big
I think
to
they
set
should
out
fire
there.
it up at about 7:15 in the morning.
No, why not 6?
We could.
As long as they stay away from Maple
shoot
Court.
it down the alley.
All right, let's move
All right,
on.
also, in your packet should be the revisions to the residential recycling agreement. I didn't add them to the solid waste agreement until they were approved here, because they also have to go into the solid waste agreement.
The blue
I only
ones are
printed the 3 pages that changes were made. Okay, on page 1, under witnesses, the second paragraph, I said, "And commercial entities not using a private licensed hauler within the town of Tilton." Before it said some Main Street businesses, and then in parentheses, Route 3 and 11.
Yep.
Okay? Go down under definitions, commercial, third sentence down, multifamily dwellings of 5 units or more. On page 2, under residential, to make residential consistent with the commercial language about the 10 units on the same parcel, I put an individually owned multi-unit family structures of 10 units or less.
Doesn't that conflict with page 1, commercial of multifamily
Yes,
dwellings of
because
5 units or more?
No, these are multifamily individually, like mobile home parks, individually owned multi-dwelling units of more than 10 units, because the way it read before it's like it said less than 10 on one side
Right.
and more than 10 on the other. So
Well, if,
who could have 10? You need to define the
well,
10.
under commercial, it's more than 5 units or more. It doesn't say whether it's a home, a mobile home,
It says multifamily dwellings.
dwellings of 5 or more, 5 units or more.
Okay. Well,
Maybe it should say multifamily dwelling units of 5 units or more. I don't know.
well, wasn't this the definition that came out of the town's definition of commercial?
Yeah, and as I said last week when I read it, that it's,
Well, I think the intent of the last sentence in that paragraph is an individually owned multi-dwelling units of more than 10 units, meaning condos, on the same parcel. So it'd be condos and mobile home parks fall into that category.
so should we put including, but not limited to mobile home parks and condominiums,
Well, what,
developments, townhouses?
On which residential?
multifamily dwellings of 5 units or more, and then I have multi-unit family structures of 10 units or less. To me, it's overlapping.
Right, but if we put including but not limited to mobile home parks,
So just refer,
condominiums, and townhouses.
Where's that going?
this is the
With
last
the
sentence.
residential,
It should say the same thing, only one is
Well,
more than
one's
10 and
saying
the
over
other is
5, the
less
other's
than 10.
saying less than 10, so you've got 5 through 9 that
yeah, I
goes
mean,
into
it doesn't
either.
say the same thing, but,
That's what, pick a number, I don't care, but it's,
Right, but the multifamily units are on one individual parcel.
so what's the difference between multi-unit family
you know,
structure and multi-family dwelling?
Because a
Multi-units and
multifamily
trailers.
dwelling would be
Why?
a duplex, it would be a rental apartment, it would be
Multi-unit.
an apartment house.
Right,
It could be an apartment house, it could
Multi-unit
be...
family
be
structure,
a
or they're both
business.
saying,
a trailer parks,
No, trailer park would be
a mobile home.
mobile home trailer park over 10 units on the same parcil.
That's a
I agree
multi-unit
with
family
Peter.
structure.
The residential should be opposite of commercial. So it should say
Pick your number,
multifamily
I don't care.
dwellings of less than 5 units.
On the residential side?
Yeah. I mean, it should say the same thing.
So an individually owned mobile home or an individually owned condo that's in a park or in a condo then is considered commercial? We consider them residential. The card would say residential.
But you
Not-
consider all apartment buildings as residential because those are residents living in them. If you take White Rock Cooperative, why didn't I say Gaslight? If you take Gaslight, it's a cooperative, so you have all of these individually owned units renting land within the cooperative, so is that not a commercial
They're
entity?
not renting it.
The
They're
mobile
shareholders
home
What's the
park
difference
is-
between
is-
that cluster of residential dwelling units and an apartment building with 20 residential units in it? What's the
Because-
difference?
The difference is that they're not renting the space, they're paying their share, they own it.
Okay, let's say
They're
it's a mobile
shareholders.
home park.
Yep.
Where it's just not a cooperative.
Then it would be, like you said, it's a
Yeah, but they
rental.
still own their individual unit. You have to treat it as, it's no different than a house. It's no different than somebody with a house.
We tax every unit,
If they're, they're paying a mortgage, they're paying rent. I don't see it
they're
as
paying
much of
the
a
tax,
difference.
too.
A dwelling unit's a dwelling unit. I mean,
Good.
But our residential and our commercial should be the same. Well, one should be the same wording, but,
Well, right now, it is the same wording. It's just that one is 10 units or less, and the other is 10 units.
No, one's,
That's the only, the only thing that changed was add,
5 or more is commercial.
I don't think we're ever going to get this signed.
and residential is 4 units or less.
Too bad we didn't have an attorney.
10 units or less.
One of those attorney things?
Do I have the wrong edition?
Ours just retired.
All I'm asking for is to be consistent between the two definitions. I don't care which number we
All
go
right,
with.
let's move on from there then. We'll just be consistent with the two definitions. Try to be consistent with the two
Well,
definitions.
right now, the language in them is the same. The only difference is making clear what units. But I think what you're getting at is you're saying that individually owned multifamily units should not be considered either commercial or residential.
It has to be one or the other. These people-
It have to be one
Well,
of
what
the
I'm saying is 5 units or more is commercial on page 1. Page 2 is less, 10 units or less.
No,
So if
4 units or less.
My blue says 10 at the end of it.
Under residential, it says
Under
10.
individually multi-unit family structures. Now, is that a mobile home? Is it a cluster of homes I've decided to build? Like Winnisquam Shores, the little, like, mini condos that they've got?
The problem is in residential, what you're trying to describe with trailer parks is you've got multi-unit family structures. So a mobile home and a mobile home park is one family structure. It's not a multi-family structure. So that
A
doesn't even work.
multi-unit.
Why don't you just spell out mobile home?
How about individually owned structures?
There you
Get
go.
rid of the word multi-unit.
Individually owned structures of 10 units or less?
Is considered residential. I mean, I don't even know why
I'm
that's
still
in
at odds
there.
with the multifamily dwelling units, dwellings of 5 units or more under.
No, look at the first sentence, though, under residential. Multifamily dwellings consisting of 4 units of less, stop there. Commercial is 5 or more. Now you're going on to individually owned family structures of 10 units or less located on the same parcel. Those two have to be separated. They're not one.
Period,
Right.
individually.
So if you look at residential means all single-family dwellings and multifamily dwellings consisting of 4 units or less per parcel, period. Then you go to commercial. Commercial means entities engaged in commerce, work intended for commerce, related to commerce in the town of Tilton, including but not limited to contractors, multi-family dwellings of 5 or more units in commercial establishments of any sign. So there it ties it in. The next sentence addresses your mobile home situation. Now you have two thought processes there, two different.
Well, why don't we
meanings for
say
residential.
manufactured home, mobile home, whatever the appropriate term is in this day and age? Because I'm seeing multi-unit family structures and multi-unit structures.
What we have to do is change the definition downstairs, and that takes a procedure to do that.
Well, I think the problem here is individually owned multifamily structures. I think
If we just leave that line out, are we good?
Yeah.
No, I think you can put individually owned single-family structures.
Single-family units.
Single-family units, we
structures.
call them single-family dwelling units. in
Okay,
the planning board.
single-family dwelling units.
Because that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, that works.
Good.
Single-family dwelling units of 10 units, 10 units or less, located on the same parcel.
That covers your
Yeah, that covers it.
condominium.
Commercial would be
mobile homes.
more than 10 units, and residential would be less than 10 units. But we do have that condominium over there, RJ Moreau, that's going to be like, if it ever is built out, it's a ton of units
Yes, it is.
on the
Okay.
same parcel. Okay.
Now, is that a cooperative? Is that
Not a cooperative.
No, they're all individually owned. Another one is we went there looked at them when one was up for tax deed, the St. James, what is that? The Lord Hampton,
Hampshire?
Hampshire. Those are all individually owned
Yes, they are.
units.
Yes, they are.
So that's not really considered residential, that's commercial, that's part of a commercial business. And there's more than 10 there,
Can I ask you one question? Under the residential,
and they have a dumpster.
would White Rock, which is a co-op, so everybody owns a share of the portion, would they be covered under the residential? Because there's more than 10.
Nope.
I don't even
None of
know
them.
why that's in there. Why do we need, if we're treating commercial and residential the same, meaning limit of 5 bags, why are we, because you know that a 10-unit condo can't put out 50 bags of garbage, they would need a dumpster.
But each one's is
There's no room
separate.
to put out.
Well, that's a different, yeah, that's the thing. I'm sitting here going, why do we care?
Right. So, just take that out, just do it businesses, period. On both of them, and that take out individually owned, period. Because we treat mobile homes as residences. The way they're assessed is a code as a...
Everybody in town, whether they're a business or a resident, can put out 5 bags. Everybody. Doesn't matter what we label them. Everybody can put out 5 bags. Me as a resident, if I want to put out 10 bags a week, I gotta get a dumpster, or find some place to put those other 5 bags a week.
Get another dwelling on the parcel.
I'll put another,
Okay, well,
an accessory dwelling.
the thing to remember, why this was different is because when we implemented the pay-as-you-throw, the only people that could participate in recycling were
That's
people
right.
that were purchasing purple bags. So if you're purchasing a purple bag, you could purchase 100 bags. You could put 100 purple bags
That's right.
out. And you could put stuff in the recycling bin. If you're a commercial business and you're not buying purple bags, well, you're not going to be able to recycle because that's how we're paying for the bags.
What did the original contract say?
This was, I think that he took this from the original recycling contract.
No, our original waste hauler.
Waste one?
What did that say? Did we have a definition for commercial and residential?
Yes, I think we took both of, yeah, I'm looking at it, because I have the solid waste one right here, and it says multi-dwelling units of more than 10 units on the same parcel.
I found where
Okay.
the missing eye
So
is.
that's page 2, and then on page 3 under...
On page 3,
Oh,
under service.
Yep.
Second line.
Yep.
Can you move the I in front of to in front of the N, which should be in? It's there, just in the wrong
It
location.
ran away.
What did I miss?
it like that, oh, it wanted to be next to that, oh.
Generated
There it is.
in the ice over here. I don't want to be next to the end, I want to be next to you.
You'll be typing along, you'll delete a sentence, but instead it moves part of it over into another place. Okay, so this is what I did here. The contractor shall provide for the collection of all acceptable recycling generated in the town of Tilton on a weekly collection schedule on Tuesday and Thursday. The recycling containers for use, because we're not making any distinction between residential and commercial, are located at the Town of Public Works Garage, are included in this agreement at no additional charge. But we need to be clear, is that happening in this next agreement? I thought he was throwing in a certain number.
He mentioned that.
What do you say, 8 or something?
He sat here, I asked him the question,
Yeah,
he
what did he
sat
say?
here and said,
How many? 40?
I don't remember.
I think he said 40 a year.
Yeah, something like
Was it?
I was
that.
going to say 30, so somewhere in there.
We'd have listened to the tape, but he said he'd throw
That-
in.
Okay, so
That
I'd like to
tape
put that in here.
didn't get, if it's a video, we missed it.
It's in the video, he said it.
Yeah, it didn't go on that day.
Okay. Because the initial contract, it was included, all that was included, and they just built it into the monthly amount that we paid. Okay, now, this is where it gets kind of sticky. The town does not bear collection and disposal costs for commercial entities utilizing the services of a private licensed hauler. Okay? The town will provide the contractor with a list of commercial addresses that are not included on the service routes in this agreement, meaning those contractors have their own containers, so they're not part of this municipal curbside collection.
Okay.
Okay, service routes, that stays the same. Okay, I added the word Class 6 roads, because before it said owned, but we also don't maintain roads that we own. So I just said service routes also include roads not maintained by the town, hereinafter referred to as private roads or Class 6 roads.
Shouldn't be private roads and Class 6 roads?
Okay?
The Class 6 roads we own, but like you said, we don't maintain them, but we don't own the private roads.
All right, and then just deleted that whole sentence about requiring the contractor to seek waiver of liability from private roads. And we just come out and say, again, that the town does not assume liability for any private property, private thoroughfare, or Class 6 roads. Got rid of all that indemnity. And then as a solution, residents or commercial entities located on private roads or Class 6 roads participating in curbside solid waste and recycling collection have the sole responsibility and liability for maintaining the travel way and providing access for the contractor's recycling, I should just say collection equipment, because it's a dual truck, right?
Not always.
Okay. So,
Most of the time, it's not.
okay, so for the contractor's collection equipment. The contractor shall notify the town immediately if and when the residents or commercial entities are unable to safely accommodate the contractor's equipment without damage. So it's the contractor's responsibility to contact us and say, I got a problem here, I can't,
Road's not plowed,
Joe
whatever.
Schmo isn't plowing, blah, 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 what are we gonna do about this? And then he can't stop picking it up until he requests approval from the town to remove those private roads or Class 6 roads from Attachment A. And Attachment A is the collection service routes. And move the collection site to another location. So just because he can't get down Lake Road or something, and if that was on Schedule A, then we would notify the residents they can't get down there, it's not being plowed routinely, you're responsible. If you want to be part of curbside collection, then you
Provide a
want to move your
location.
bags to the edge of the travel way or wherever they want to put them. And such approval to not be unreasonably withheld. And then the last part is, the contractor shall provide the town with the collection route schedule as well as the contractor's private commercial accounts, and keep such information current at all times. That way, we'll know that if they start their Tuesday route at 7 o'clock and they head down, where are they going? Their first stop.
My house.
They go right down to your house?
They come down Laconia Road and onto Manville.
Okay, and then when do they, depending on what they collect, then do they go right down? Just so we know where their trucks are,
They're going down
what their routes are. And if they're
south
gonna
side
change
of
their
Route
route,
3.
saying, oh, we're gonna go
Silver
to
Lake
Maple
Road
Court
about
now on
8,
Thursday.
10.
Thursdays, we're gonna go to Maple Court at 7 in the morning instead of,
And we're gonna crush the garbage multiple times
so
there.
that we know where their trucks are. I mean, they can have
Spread slime all over
flexibility on,
town.
a truck breaks down, they're not gonna get there late, but at least we'll know what their original plan is. So, tell me again what you want me to do about the multifamilies. Just strike that altogether?
Strike it.
Strike it. All right,
It's already done that.
now we're ready.
Go back and listen to the tape for how many?
Right.
Because I couldn't remember.
Did you give me that one now?
Number back.
So,
I did?
after that, is this done?
Yeah.
Yes, and then when we sit down with, I know Tim had already sent this as a draft
1, 2,
to
3, 4, and
Dave
5.
Allen.
I
He
don't
hasn't
have
heard
it.
back from Dave Allen. I think he said, wait, there may be some more tweaking, and so now we're ready to sit down, because we want to make sure that we're enforcing the giving us a list every month of the complaints. And the other thing was,
What kind
when
of
there's
timeline are we
spillage, we're
looking
gonna find them.
Joyce, what kind of timeline are we looking for
Take it back.
signing
I lied.
contract?
Oh, we'd like to get this done next week.
Okay. I'd like to see that.
Got to be done by the end of May.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it
I mean, we
also.
haven't heard him say anything back, so I guess it's okay. And then the last thing, before we get non-public, that the, unbeknownst to me, and usually we're good about following these things, the municipal association should have notified municipal managers, but they only notified the tax collectors association, where it's really, I think, a selectmen's tax deeding it's a joint thing. Because I never got this from Cindy. But they did change the law. It goes into effect 60 days after the governor signs it.
Has she signed it yet?
No. But everybody's signed off on it. NHMA signed off on the Tax Collectors
What is it?
Association. That, you know how we charge the 15% penalty on
Yeah.
tax deeding? The most you can charge is 10%. But if you're returning it back to the property owner, you don't charge any penalty.
That's the new and improved law. So there is no penalty for not paying your taxes.
Well, you're already paying 18% interest on the lien. It says this bill amends 8090, which is our tax deeding statutes, by reducing the penalty from 15 to 10% based on the assessed value of the property that is assessed against the former owner who repurchases the property pursuant to 8089. This bill amends 89 to exempt property that is or was the former owner's principal resident from the aforementioned 10% penalty.
Oh, so they're exempted
From the
to their
10%.
principal residence.
But it's principal residence only.
Yes, the
So like
former
our
resident.
situation
Not a
last year, where it was the
secondary.
second home,
They
you could
wouldn't-
still charge 10%.
Yeah.
This principal. Mhm.
Okay.
So, I just
Not
wanted you...
dandy.
Well, we need to know this information because after leaning, we go into tax deeding.
Soon.
So I'm glad that somebody's notified me of that. And at some point before you go, we need to talk about that. What we're gonna do there. Because we never finished our conversation on that. Unless something else has happened.
Oh, I got
I
an
just wanna see
email
what kind
today.
of ticket it
Three of
is.
them on.
Yep. I did. I got an email just today, as a matter of fact. I haven't really read it. I saw it, I haven't replied to it. Jeannie Forrester has been following up on emails and got an email back, and then sent another email saying we're supposed to get an email or a call from this individual,
Okay.
and we never did. And here it is a week later,
I haven't received anything.
and we haven't heard anything from them, so I'll let Jeannie know. And lo and behold,
What's the main thrust of this? Am I missing
The
something?
air conditionings.
Oh, the air conditioners, okay, all right.
Sorry, I should
I
have
will-
said that.
I will forward this response
It's a dog tick.
to you, Joyce.
Okay.
And then we can talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
And, oh, I gotta do Catherine too. I'll just do Boyd. So. Basically says they were on vacation. They're meeting on May 2nd
I
with
felt
the
the
attorney,
crawl up, and I went,
John Cronin.
I didn't see it. I was like,
Oh,
I know there's something
our
wrong.
buddy.
I figured it was a tick. Then it was,
Just read who the attorney is.
I did. I did.
And there's lots of other stuff, but it isn't
Made
critical.
me laugh, just like it did now.
Well, we do have a question to answer in non-public because they are asking a specific question,
Okay.
which we have to answer.
Okay.
So in non-public, I'll ask that question. All right? We'll go into non-public, come out and do selectmen's reports. So at this time, I would like to make a motion to go into non-public per RSA 91A:3, personnel and, I guess, legal issue with the air conditioning.
What is it, C, the protecting individuals?
Yes, that which discussed in public would adversely affect the
Our
reputation.
personnel just left.
No, because we need 10 minutes.
Oh.
He was told that.
I didn't know that.
When did you become aware that you've lost control? I suddenly did. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
I'm too fascinated by my tick.
Are you what?
Oh, you found a tick, and you put them in the bottle?
Oh, she collects them. She pickles them.
I love ticks.
That's why she borrowed the,
We are red is on. This time I'd like to seal the minutes of non-public session as they pertain to
How you doing?
personnel issues.
Or do you have to do that?
Dates right here when they're going to be doing the release.
Thank you again.
You're going to 29th.
Thanks, Jesse.
Okay.
thanks.
I'll make a second one. Too
Later.
convoluted.
Second.
800.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
This time I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session.
before you
as
take
they
your test,
pertain to the reputation of resident, permanent.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Yes. Yes.
There must be, sample tests that you can run through and stuff.
Let the record show.
Yeah.
Everybody voted yes.
And we're in a public,
We're now in public.
we're in a public session.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night. All right. Selectmen's reports, does anybody have anything? Okay, Joe.
You actually have it right there on the table. See that map?
Yep.
May I see the map? You can have it back just to use as a... This is the printed map for the yard sale, okay? And each one of the little dots on it has a number inside of it, and you can't hardly read some of these streets because of the program, but each number has a corresponding list on the side with the exact address. And if you look at it, you can tell that, like, this one's up there, Lake Winnisquam, and this one's more down toward Franklin, and you can make it out anyway. And there's 20 locations that are having the yard sale. We've advertised in papers of record, several papers. I've seen the ads. Thank you very much, Joyce. That was really good. And we're looking forward to having nice weather on Saturday. It should be just fine for this. And Joyce and I will be delivering maps to the various locations. They're all printed out already. Like, each location will get 15 maps. And then if I go to to anybody's house, I go to Pat's house, for instance, and she'll have a stack of maps. And it's like, oh, okay, would you like a map? We're having lots of yard sales today. And they can then use the map to go around and find the others. We've used this in the past, it's worked out really good, and 20 locations, 20 families, 20 people, whatever it is, and the senior center actually is one of them. So there's going to be a nice yard sale over at the senior center on Grange Road.
Which all goes to the programming,
There you go.
the programs.
So by all means, stop on by.
I have questions about what time it should start, and I have been telling people that they call not before 8.
In the past, we always said 8 o'clock, and I'd go around about 7:30, because people who do yard sales, they want to be there first. And so if we're having yard sales on Saturday, there's absolutely nothing that says that at sunup, you can't have your stuff out there and a little sign. You know what I mean? But it's your yard sale. God bless America. God bless Tilton. And God bless the town-wide yard sale. And that's my whole thing. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything?
Yeah.
Yep.
Saturday, 9 o'clock is the second annual Walk for Addiction Awareness. That's going to be starting at the high school.
At 9. The walk
9.
isn't till 10, I think, right?
Probably.
Yeah, it's after 9, but you got to register, and you could get a T-shirt, and they'll set us up, at least if it's anything like the last one. It's a good time, and this year it won't be raining. Come on down. Last year it rained.
Can I ride with you, Chief?
Ride with you.
That's priceless.
On the Walk for Addiction, can I ride with you?
You're walking with us, aren't you, Chief?
Just grab one.
Yeah.
I'll drive the cruiser, you walk. Got it. It's Saturday for the pills, the drugs. Take back, and it's in the Franklin parking.
CVS.
CVS.
Just heard today they won't be taking heroin, cocaine, or any illegal drugs, though.
Yep.
They'll arrest you. There's no amnesty to turn them back in. Well, there was talk they were going to do that, but they felt it would create too many problems for the various entities to all of a sudden have heroin or, bag of pot, or what do you do with this?
From
But-
10 to 2.
So Saturday's a busy day.
Very busy. Anyone else have anything? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Yeah, you said the 29th?
The 29th, we're going up there, and we're looking to have a few more
Okay,
join us.
I'll talk to him.
I know we have people.